YouTube, Brian Phillips here. We've got the Fox 3-meter. This thing is humongous. I can't believe how big it is, and it's awesome. And we're gonna share it with you today. We've got the NX6, it's been working great for us. We're running an AR6610T, which doesn't have stabilization, so we're gonna see how that goes. Yes, I'm rocking some gloves. That's because this plane can fly for 30 minutes on one battery. My camera crew, I didn't bring that up when we came out here. They promised to film. Little throttle test, takeoff flaps deployed. Are you ready to do this thing?
Yep.
I think we'll launch. Which way do we have the best chance of success? Let's go that way. Are you ready?
Yep.
Vario's working?
Yep.
Holy crap, that thing is so huge. Oh my goodness. I love the way it's flying. Yes, it screams. Okay, forgive the trimming. Couple trim clicks on the elevator. Oh, look at this. Here we go. Oh, that thing looks so gorgeous. We have zero wind, or very near zero. Man, look at that thing. That's 2. That's 3. And upside down. Very symmetrical. Oh, that is so cool. Man, that rudder, as big as it is, does the trick. I knew this thing would have a presence. Look at that thing up against the sky. So gorgeous. Oh man, you can hear it slap when it hits.
Yep.
Oh, just loving the way this thing flies. No stabilization at all. It's so huge. Of course, you shouldn't need it. Okay, we're going inside. You ready?
Yeah.
You want to come a step toward me, please? The thing is just commands attention. All right, out here to the corner, please, camera crew. Can you see it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What you guys don't realize is we're 3 acres away from us right now. Man, that thing is just rock solid. Feels like, okay, takeoff flaps, landing flaps. Ooh, we needed just a little teeny. Actually, I would say that's perfect. Look at it slow down. Okay, full throttle out of the flaps. 2-second deployment's perfect. All right, let's go up here and do some craziness. Okay, here we go. Real fast pass. You good? Man, I love the scream. I've never flown a Fox before, but that has a flat wing if I've ever seen one. What was the prop size? 15.75?
Yes.
This lady in my transmitter's talking to me. I didn't feel like 30 minutes.
No.
Oh, did you notice that it interrupted the Vario? That's pretty cool.
Oh, it did, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so 22.6 there, so we're just below 3.8 volts per cell. Provided they're evil. They're even. They're not evil, I hope. Okay, so you notice that? You notice that falling over to the side? I don't know if that's a trim issue or just I'm used to stabilizers. Man, that thing looks so awesome up there. Could be a rudder trim issue. So gorgeous. Oh, I gotta see that back window. Remember the back window? Hey, maybe we should do a practice landing now that I've used up the battery. See if we can get some lift off of these trees. Probably not. Just going straight ahead. No, too cold. Oh man, I'm loving it. Okay, we're gonna try putting it down here. You wanna come back a step, please? Just in case. Full landing flaps. This way. Look at it creeping along. That's just incredible.
It's crazy.
Got to get over the tree line there, folks. Oh man, that is going to be so easy to land. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Out of the flaps.
That was amazing.
That was so uneventful. I can't believe it. Okay, so we're at 8 minutes 17 on our not 1 out timer. I feel like the 1 out timer, the way I fly, is probably more appropriate. If we were out slope soaring, I think we'd be perfectly fine with a 1 out timer because you're not going to be giving it any throttle when you're sloping. But I was obviously giving it a lot of throttle. That being said, throttle cuts on and tested. This thing is really big and it flies super good. We have no stabilization. All we have is the telemetry feedback from this AR6 6610. Okay, so we'll just walk over here and show you that. Okay. Yeah, see, legal. Vario's obviously working. And then if we were to flip this switch, that would shut off. I think we need to try that again just to show the people we had assigned it to switch C. Or did I turn that back off?
I don't remember where we ended up.
I don't either. Let's go into Vario, double click. Yep, it's on switch C. So if I put switch C down to any of the other conditions, it'll shut off. Okay, throttle cut is currently on because I don't want it to go on right now.
That would probably not be great.
Okay, one thing I noticed about this is it's kind of big. And that does make it a little bit awkward.
Are you just launching again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I can.
Okay. Sheesh.
Okay. Stay off the runway there, camera crew.
Yep, I'm right behind you.
Oh, dang it. It's the flight pack warnings.
What do you mean?
I'm not going to know because the Vario won't beep, boop, 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 boop.
Oh.
Yep.
Because it's not going to get back up above.
Yep. You need to go back 3 steps, please. Sorry, thank you. Okay, so I had somebody the other day that was all annoyed because I was telling you instructions about where to be when we're filming. They have no clue that we are not together. We have lapel mics, so she doesn't know where I am because she's watching the plane.
Yep.
And I don't know where she is always.
I can hear you, but I don't know where you are.
Out of the flaps. Man, that thing is really easy to land.
That's crazy.
I like
I'm
it a
shocked.
lot because when it lands, it stays on that main pivot point, the main wheel. So like you keep the rudder authority because all 4 of the wheels should hypothetically be perfectly aligned for a forward roll. But the thing is you still keep that authority to make your adjustments. So here you can see I rolled off the side. And each time I am being mindful to close those flaps. But you know what? They're not even gonna hit. If you're in grass, they might hit though. So you wanna be careful about that. All right, we've gone probably longer than we should. I keep getting warnings and I'm gonna move this switch down and see if, I'll move it and see if the Vario makes noise and then I'll flip down and see if it shuts it off because that's what we were trying to figure out yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, throttle cuts on and tested. So far, love the plane. It is awesome. Okay. No, I don't feel anything. I don't hear anything.
I didn't hear anything.
But I don't hear anything probably because I'm not moving it enough.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So let's scroll over to Vario. There's Vario. Okay. Because I heard it when we were kind of coming in for a landing for a brief second because the battery voltage had recovered to over our warning level. So, all All right, let's check the battery voltage. In fact, let's lay this on the concrete
Yeah.
because we can.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm still a little reluctant to be rough with this because of it's a beautiful plane. I don't want to drag it all over the concrete. I did notice that the canopy is a little squishy in the middle, which is not great. Okay, here's the battery, obviously. We've got it right here. This is a 50C 6S 5,000 milliamp hour pack. We've got the AR6610, which does not have AS3X. Okay, no puff whatsoever.
Nope.
Let's plug it in. Okay, we'll give you guys a full readout. 69.
Oh.
I think our warning is way too high. Way too high.
Well, there was a middle ground between what I wanted and what you wanted.
Are you referring to the number or what? I'm confused. No, I think what we're going to do is we're going to put the 100C in here. And we're just going to, because I was planning on a 30-minute flight, so I actually brought lunch with me. You'll notice this has the XT90 connector here, and we did the connection for the telemetry into the AR6610 here. We may end up switching that out for an AR637T, except that it just doesn't need it.
Yeah,
it
probably
seems
not.
totally fine without the stabilization. But there again, it's not windy at all today.
No.
And but see, there's some people that don't want a stabilizer, not just because of the $30 price difference, because there's a $30 price difference between this and the other one. I think if people are wanting a more economical solution and they don't want to pay for AS3X that they aren't going to use, this is a perfect solution because you get all that cool telemetry still. Okay. I'm going to put that right where we put it the last time because I just felt really, really good. Felt like it was doing everything I wanted it to do. Okay. So now we can answer all of our questions about the Vario. I'm going to change the timer though. Let's go to the warnings. Telemetry warnings. Volts. Double click. That's just too low.
Too high.
Now it's at 7S again. What the heck?
Why does it always switch?
I don't know. Well, let's change it from 18 to 20. So what would 20 times 6? Well, 6 times, I want to do, if it's 6 times 4, it'd be 24. So if I lost, yeah, if I do 20, that might be a little bit low. I just want to be able to get it to the ground.
Right. So what about like 21 or something?
21. Okay, 21 it is.
Okay.
And that's on the volts min voice. Okay.
Yep.
And then on max, it's inhibited. Because like if we've got more voltage than we need, that's cue for you to spend it. Okay, so throttle cut is on. I'm in C, which is going to make the Vario make noise. And here we go. We're going to launch again. Let's launch from a level place because people are like, but Brian, I don't have a bull in my yard. Okay, that's true. You might not. Where do you want to be, camera crew, so I don't launch it at you?
Well, where are you launching? How about that? That's probably more important.
Throttle cut. Down the runway.
Okay. I'll just go off.
No, you cannot wheels up, wheels down with this, unfortunately, folks. I have a very small flap setting and a very big landing setting, okay? See that? Okay. Man, that thing has power. Okay, here we go.
Pay attention.
It's off.
Okay.
On.
Goodness gracious.
On. My camera crew's suddenly all worried about my planes. I finally trained her. She's done. Man, that sun on there is gorgeous.
I have to build this one its own house.
Man, I want to slope sort so bad. Okay, are you good where you are? I'm gonna go between the trees here.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. So gorgeous. All right, let's go up on the top of the hill here. I'm really liking the way these Varios have been working. They're so simple. You don't have to screw around with them at all. Man, I love the way it's flying. Let's go down here. I want to try to get some shots of going under the power lines and stuff. This thing's pretty big for going under the power lines, but you know, I paid to put them in, so I get to do that. Hey, back please, where I am. That way I know where you are and I don't have to wonder. Excusez-moi. Okay, middle of the driveway. Perfect, good job. Sorry, runway. Take off flaps. Ah, we're into the blinding spot now.
Yeah.
Dang it. I wanted to go under those lines right now, but I can't see very good. That was weird. Probably just a little bit of wind. Man, that disappears. It is like almost impossible to tell what direction you're turning there.
Yeah.
Take off flaps. Man, that thing is really powerful. Really powerful. That was a little bit on the relaxed side for my taste on the roll. Sorry, camera crew. Did you miss it?
Nope.
Good job. That's one thing about these bigger planes is they're a little bit easier to keep in camera, right?
They are.
Which is something that my camera crew does a great job of.
Well, this one's not super fast either.
It just flies really good, guys.
Yeah.
It's really, it's a joy to fly. And like I said, if you guys get sick of hearing that Vario go, it's really, really easy to shut off. Trying to see how the G-loading, see how it does. Boy, you can pivot that thing on a dime. Okay, I think I was out of energy there. Okay, here we go. Seeing if I can high-speed stall it, but it just doesn't want to stall. There we go. So cool. You want to fly this one, camera crew?
That's hilarious.
Boy, but it'll do slow flight too. Look at that. You just get it pointed in the right direction, it just goes. And by the way, did I mention this whole plane snaps together?
Yep.
Now that being said, we did run into one problem on the wing, which you guys will see if you stick around and watch. But let's be honest, it just wasn't that big of a deal.
No. I still don't know how you know what direction you're going sometimes.
You should see some of these other pilots that are better than me. They're doing low passes on the runway. I'll get there one day. Man, what a gorgeous sunset we're gonna get today.
Mm-hmm.
Take off flaps just to take off the edge. Down the runway. It's just awesome. It's so huge. You feel that laggy on the motor?
A little bit.
This thing screams to be slope soared. Man, I wish I could slope soar on the dam that's near us. It would be so good. But the Army Corps of Engineers controls it, so no fly there. I could launch from off-site, legally fly there. Sort of, legally. This guy that's flying this has had like 17 sunsets in this flight, which is really cool. This would be a good plane to fly from the back. You good, camera crew? Why don't you come back a couple steps? I need an angle. Full landing flaps, by the way. Out of the landing flaps. Hey, you back where I am?
Yep.
Okay, good job. I just wanted to go under the power lines, and I didn't want to do it under duress. Going under the power lines is not a big deal to most people, probably. But there's this moment, and we just had it about 10 minutes ago, where it is invisible. You literally cannot see the power lines. And I just don't want to run the risk. This is a pretty big plane, actually. I'm not worried about taking the power lines down. I'm worried about destroying a beautiful, beautiful plane. Because this thing is exactly that. Beautiful plane, beautiful flying, gorgeous big 23-gram servos, metal gear all around, accessible, serviceable slots. So if you need to get in there and do something, which hopefully you don't have to, then you can. And look at this, landing flaps, downhill. Look at that, slowing down. Oh, that is so awesome. Guys, I love it. We're gonna put the brakes on, he'll fly right by. That doesn't really work that way. Did there. Okay, we're out of power. I feel like we're out of power. We probably aren't, but I'm gonna just play it safe. Full landing flaps here. Well, out of the flaps altogether. Takeoff flaps, and then now landing flaps as we bring it in. I had to do one touch and go. I couldn't resist.
Of course.
And when I say had to, I made it sound like I might have been doing that on purpose, but I totally wasn't. I only tricked like 3 of you. Man, that looks so pretty. Okay, here we go. Somebody was asking for a gorgeous counter the other day. I don't think we can do a gorgeous counter. We'd probably break it. If I just stop reviewing gorgeous planes, it'd be no problem. Okay, you need to be at or behind me there, camera crew.
I am behind you.
Thank you. Okay, I got the takeoff flaps out. Here comes the landing flaps. Little teeny bit of balloon there. Little bit of pumping. I did that pumping thinking I needed to bleed off some energy. Pumping, that's what that is. And I did kind of a bad job of it. But the thing is, this plane is awesome. That was a 100C pack as opposed to a 50C on the first flight. What I've been learning about the 50C versus the 100C, and it's kind of ironic because the 100C is supposed to have all this more power and it's significantly more money. It's actually not that much more money in terms of the cost basis of the packs if you compare apples to apples. But the 50C compared to the 100C, you kind of expect to get, like double the energy. Of course, you're not going to get that. I've kind of found them to be about the same. So the difference is this type of plane with a, let's just call it a 17-inch prop at 7.5-inch pitch. I just don't think you're going to load it the way that you would need to load it to kill the, a 50C or 100C pack. Now, that being said, in an EDF jet, it's totally possible. But on this one, I don't think so. I think we're good. Really, really, really happy with this plane. Super good. We're 6 minutes 46 left on this. I'm going to actually change this right now. My timer. I'm changing that to, let's call it 8 minute, no, let's call it 6 minutes. At 6 minutes without a 1 out, I feel like that's plenty of time. You have plenty of security factor there. You know, see our volts here, 21.7 volts right now. That's reasonable. You're pretty much at storage voltage. You don't have to worry about bringing it back dead stick. But there again, it's a sailplane. You're flying it dead stick half the time anyway, unless you fly it like me, and then it's, you know, like a P-51. But that being said, guys, gorgeous plane. Love it. Went together. We ran into one problem on one of the flap servos, and we had to do some kind of weird carving to get the flaps to go down the way I wanted. But you guys may not want them to drop like that. I wanted to drop them like that because I didn't want to split the wing plugs, because like I said, this thing comes apart. You move two levers and pull the wings out, and they're taken apart. But in order to do that, you're dependent on a Y cable. So you can either cut the end off and take the Y cable apart if you want to separate the left and the right channel, so you could do a flapper on so that you can achieve a crow, which would be really cool. And also the flaps are designed to go up or down, but you do have to do some adjustments mechanically on the control arms for the servos. So if you want to set up a crow or like a full length spoiler, which would be sweet because this thing could use some extra speed for getting those really long lasting maneuvers. Like if you want to do a slow roll, I feel like it's a little bit too draggy on the wing without doing a spoiler. If you did a spoiler, you could pull it off better. Also, I feel like maybe the roll could be sped up just a hair by going a little bit more aggressive on the ailerons, which I know that sounds crazy, but I'm also flying this like a plane. I'm not flying it like a sailplane. If I was into wind and I was going on a slope where I'm just picking up lots and lots of speed, then it'd be totally fine. But in my application, being that it's dead calm and I don't have any wind to help me out, I'm dependent on the thrust going over the control surfaces and the speed that I'm generating from staying below 400 feet. So that being said, this plane is awesome. A couple of different things to keep in mind. Is it the best glider ever? I'm not going to say that because I haven't flown them all, but it's pretty awesome. Now the FMS ASW 17, which is considerably cheaper than this, is very good too. Okay, so if you don't have enough room for this plane, and let's just put this one to rest. First of all, we had the ASW 17 taken apart last night to bring it in our basement. Okay, yep. We brought it down our stairway. We have a big open ceiling there, so it's no big deal. But we just took one wing off. We left the wing spar in there. The wing joiner is metal on that one, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to take a piece of wood and I'm going to drill a couple of holes like a pegboard. And that wood's going to sit down on the ground, and I'll put something heavy on it, and then I'll stick that thing into one of the holes, and that's the way I'm going to store them. That's it. I may take the wing spar out and take a dowel and glue it into the hole, and then I can sit the plane like this, and it'll sit on the ground, and the wing will shoot up, and then the second wing will have the wing joiner in it, and it'll go into another hole right next to it. And then you can stack 4 or 5 of these planes without even taking them all the way apart. And let's just show you how long it takes to take a wing off, because you're not going to believe me if I don't show you. Well, now that being said, I'm sorry.
I say, even with like the few little issues that we had, the actual assembly
was extremely easy. Well, and those issues were just a one-time thing.
Yeah.
We ran through some issues with, we were trying to torque down a set screw, and I stripped some threads. But to my defense, the other side appeared to maybe be stripped. So check them on your flaps. I don't know why that was. I don't know if that's an FMS issue or if it was just a fluke. I'm assuming it's a fluke. Sometimes these things happen and it's a fluke. I don't know. All I know is this thing is awesome. Yeah, definitely want to protect your more vulnerable parts when you're doing this. So also that tail comes off. Mm-hmm. That tail comes off. Let's show the people actually. Let's show them that too real quick. Okay. Okay, I'm doing this alone so you can see. Look, right here. See this? Once you release that, this tail comes off, okay?
Yep.
You have 2 wires to unplug, which is totally reasonable. Are my wires clear?
Yes.
Okay. See? Done. That's on. This thing comes off. You don't have to undo the control arms. They just come out. There's a plug on this wing, okay? But what I'm saying is when you bring this in your basement or your garage, all you have to do is just do this. Let's do it on the ground. Okay. There's 2 releases, and we've never taken this apart yet.
Nope.
Normally we do it on a plane stand, okay? So I got the first one released. Now the second one, of course, it's gonna probably be a pain. See how hard that was, guys? By the way, look at that. Little crappy carbon fiber joiner, okay? That's a big wing. You could fit that in any car on the face of the planet. I'm serious, you could. If I'm 6 foot tall, okay?
Well,
I'm not saying you could fit 4 kids in the car with you, but if you can't put that on passenger seat of a car, even a smart car, a 2-passenger car, I wish I had a smart car, I could test it. You can open the window and put this into the passenger seat, or you can put it in front of the dash, or you can lift up the windshield wiper and hold it down. But look how much smaller that thing is right now.
Yeah.
And then this thing comes out. Look at that thing. Look at that. That is just incredible. Look how beautiful it is.
I know it's cool because you can like actually see the
texture.
carbon fiber detail in it.
And then also wheels.
Yes.
I know you heard that when I landed. I hope it picked up because it's kind of hilarious. But anyway, just look how awesome this is. There's your plugs. So when you guys get this video, or when you get this video and you're done watching it, and you've liked and subscribed, and click the bell for notifications,
And bought your own plane from
check the link in the description. Don't forget to buy this too. I don't want you to forget the best part. This plane is awesome. It wasn't even that hard to build.
Nope.
I think if we were off camera, we probably could have built that in less than an hour.
Yeah.
And when I say less than an hour, I'm not talking about less than an hour on the side of the box. I'm talking about no BS. No BS. They'd probably say 10 minutes on the box. You know, because everybody on the box, it's like, oh yeah, you could install this storm door in 17 minutes. It's like, have you ever installed a storm door? Are you kidding me? Maybe if it was your 997th. But no, so watch this, how easy this is. Watch this. Okay, look. Oh yeah, whoa, wow. Woo, all the way in. Now, I'm not saying this is something that's especially easy to do by yourself the first time, because you have to kind of work these things together. But I have other competitive brands of sailplanes, and I have done a few that have removable wings. By the way, the ASW 17, very easy to take apart, but you're not taking that tail apart. This tail does come apart completely, but if you can take the end off, just put it in the passenger seat where that person that used to sit, the one that you loved.
Leave your family.
Okay, so watch this. Click, click. Is it in? Help me, camera crew.
Where do you mean be?
I need to push. Can you pull it over toward the house? Okay. All right, it's in. It's in. Now we're going to test the control surface because my receiver's still on. This is just to prove. Okay. Flaps. So what's there not to like about this plane? Now that we've talked about all the awesome things. The one issue we had with the servo linkage, and that one was installed backward.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a big deal. That took 30 seconds to fix. One thing I don't like about this prop, which is actually a positive thing, but I just don't particularly like it because it doesn't work well, is these things are they're so free that there's no way to tighten them because they have snap rings on both sides. Okay, so it's not, instead of a screw and a nut or maybe an assembly, like I said, it's actually a high quality thing. It does make it hard to keep them in that position when it's stored. Okay, now why is that a problem? Because they like to flop when you're moving around the nose, and sometimes when you're moving the plane around, they'll flop at an inopportune time. So the way people usually deal with that is they'll put a rubber band on there. And that's fine, but if anybody has sailplanes in the basement, you'll know exactly what I mean when I say this. You put a rubber band around it, and the next time you go down there, the rubber band is broken. That's just the way it is. I don't know why that is. I think the rubber bands just dry out and then they break. So that being said, if that's even a gripe. Secondly, it comes with a pilot. The pilot looks a little bit, he's okay. I've seen a lot worse pilots That being said, the pilot is removable. You can put in a flat piece. It comes with the plane. So you can literally take that pilot out, change out the pilot for somebody that's better looking, or, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe more appropriately sized. And it is in the front seat. So if you do replace it, you can put an FPV camera in there. This is a really nice canopy. It's very easy to see through. And there's also windows back here, which is really cool. I don't know if that's true to scale or if that's just made up, but it is gorgeous. This plane is gorgeous.
If you've got the space for it and you want a big glider, it's very cool.
Yeah, don't mess around, just get it.
Yep.
And by the way, if you want the cheaper receiver because you don't want AS3X, I can't beat you up for it because, to be honest with you, based on the way it flew today, I wouldn't say it needs it. But there again, it's also dead calm today, or mostly calm. Show them the windsock.
Yep.
Thank you, Grumpy John. See that windsock? It's sitting there all lame and limp.
Yeah. We
and
have
bored.
There's 2 flags that you should be able to see over Brian's shoulder if they were moving, like, at all.
No,
and,
that one's moving.
The one
The
up
cemetery's moving.
moving a little bit.
So at 30 feet, we've got 5 miles an hour.
Tops.
But I would say this thing is definitely a victor. It
Yeah.
is good. I would definitely do it again. This plane is great. Now, is it better than the ASW-28? Yes. Is it better than the Phoenix 2.4? Yes. Is it better than the Phoenix 2.4/1.4? Yes. Is it better than the Phoenix 2.6? Yes. Is it better than the Phoenix 2? Yes. I've done a lot of Phoenixes.
Is it better than the
Is it better than the ASH-26? I don't know. The ASH-26 is kind of a different class.
It is.
Because that one is, that one's going to be a composite body, and it's a fiberglass built-up wing. So it's a different class. It's a foam fiberglass wing. It's a different class. It's also a lot more expensive. But is this plane better? This one's more fun. But the thing is, that plane was a lot more expensive. It's got a retract. That one also has crow. You know, it's a different plane. It's also smaller. Yeah. What is that one? 2 meters?
Is. Yeah. Or is it like 2.4?
I don't think so. I think it's smaller.
Might be.
Might be 2.
Yeah.
Either way, this one is the biggest plane I have. And when I say the biggest plane, I mean in all dimensions. It is technically the biggest.
Is it?
At 3 meters. Well,
wingspan, obviously.
Other
yes,
than
for sure.
I have 116 inches on the Bird of Time. The Bird of Time is 116. I don't know what that is exactly in meters, but it's pretty big.
Is this longer than the
This one's better than
Airbus?
that.
Yeah.
That one's a balsa wood built up. My grandpa built it. He's passed away now. And he got to see it fly, and that was really cool. But at the same time, that particular model wasn't maybe executed as good as this one is, being that it's just a, you know, plug and fly.
Yeah.
So that being said, the Bird of Time could be made to be really good for what it is. And by the way, that's a different type of plane in my opinion. This is more of a sporty sales ship. All those people, they you know, like Ian, you don't need an elevator. You don't need no elevator on that thing. I like elevators myself, just like I like brakes in my car. Okay. Anyway, that being said, beautiful plane. Definitely get your own. Stick around for the build right now. It's coming up after this. We'll do the radio setup. There's literally nothing to it, but at the same time, if you have questions, please watch the video, all 7 hours of it, before you ask questions. Just kidding. Just kidding. You can ask questions before, because nobody has 7 hours to watch it.
They can also check the timestamps if they're looking for a certain
If you
part.
haven't figured that out, my camera crew brings up a very good point. I go through the tedious process of watching my own video so that I can timestamp them so that you can skip ahead to the part you're looking for. We generally list the maiden flight. If there's a bunch of flights, we'll list what they are. Sometimes we don't. Like they're just kind of strung together. We're going to list the unbox time. We're going to list the build time, and we're going to list the radio setup time. Now on the plug and flies, the radio setup is a little bit longer because we have to install the radio itself and then go ahead and set up the radio system. Sometimes they kind of interwash, so we kind of got away from indicating which one's which.
Yeah.
This is too hard for us to tell because sometimes we're figuring out the CG at that same time too.
Yep.
So, which by the way, CG, spot on. I don't know if you noticed, but we ended up being 2/3 of the way up on that first strap. So we actually didn't end up hitting the second strap. That being said, you could put a bigger pack in and you could put it in there and it would be gorgeous. I'm thinking a 7000 would totally fit in there. And you could have a heavier plane. A heavier plane would move faster A heavier plane might actually fly better because you saw how easy it was to land. It was like a nothing thing.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So loved it. Look at this gorgeous sunset we're getting.
I know, it's super
This is
pretty.
so pretty. Show them the trees.
And it's like all the way around.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those nights.
It is.
It's weird because once the sun goes over the hill, sometimes the visibility gets better at night.
Just for a brief
when
time.
it's clear like this.
Yep.
So anyway, the Fox, 3 meter FMS, definitely worth getting. Check it out, link description. If you want to help the channel, please do buy from the links. Like, subscribe, and then definitely leave comments if you'd like. Come back for more. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. We have a real dainty one here. That's right. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's so huge. We're going to open this right now. You already know what it is. Of course, we don't. So this is like future tense, me saying this thing was awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. The last one of these we did was a big hit in my opinion, and I loved it. And it's right behind my wonderful camera crew.
Are we gonna show them?
Yes. Oh, we already showed them. That's what we did before.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen that video, check it out. It was awesome. Oh, yes. It's exactly what I thought it was. Well, I mean, when you get a box this big, you usually know what's coming.
Yes.
But sometimes you don't. Oh, yeah, buddy. Oh, almost fell off the table. It is a Fox, a 3 meter Fox, no less. And yes, that thing is foxy. Get out of there. Get out of there. I want to see you. Boy, is this like the stupidest possible way to open it? Yep, it is.
Probably.
Okay.
Do you need to take a break?
As you can see, it is the FMS 3000 millimeter Fox, also known as 3 meter. This thing is gonna be awesome. It's got a Predator 4258 motor with a 70 amp ESC, 23 gram precision metal gear servos. That's crazy. Wow. 30-minute flight time on a 5000 6S.
You skipped my favorite feature. Snap together assembly, no glue or screws necessary.
So weird.
If only some other manufacturers would take note.
That was 4 3/4 tubes of
Tubes of
glue.
glue.
That was too many tubes.
Yeah, about 3.5 too many.
So here's your specs, guys. 4,700 grams. It uses a 6S 35C. Ooh, wow. That's interesting. I will run it on a 50C to be on the safe side, but really, you know, when you're talking about a sailplane, I don't know. I just have a really hard time believing it's going to really need 35C. You can just not be mean to it if you want. But if you want to be it like me, if you want to fly it like I'm going to fly it, you probably want the 50C pack.
Can you do that?
So 35C, of course, is less than 50C. So I think I can do it. I just don't know which way it's going to be. It's not immediately obvious on these boxes. It looks like this is going to work. So I'm going to try this. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Wish me luck. It's probably going to take longer to open the box. Oh!
Send it back.
I give up. Just kidding. Here we go. It's probably going to take me longer to pull this out of the box than it will to build this plane.
Probably.
Oh my goodness. This wing joiner is beautiful. Too bad it's not going to be seen. Inside the plane. Oh my goodness, that canopy is huge. Oh crap. It's like my hand. Oh my goodness. That is a large pilot. It is a large pilot. Look how long this box is. Most people are going to have to open their back door just to get the box open.
Yes,
Look at this.
I know.
I'm not even all the way out yet. Look at this. It's so big, it goes off of our island onto the table. That is ridiculous and awesome. Oh, it's gonna be good. Hey, by the way, we have food on the stove, so maybe I should not. Oh, speaking of food on the stove, we're boiling over. Are we gonna show the people since it's now been mentioned?
While you're fixing your box.
Yes, I'm gonna fix my box.
Turn the stove down.
This thing is gigantic.
That is really ridiculous.
I am super excited. Well, aren't you gonna show them what's cooking? Show them what's cooking.
Well, I don't know if it looks like all that great.
Does
right
it not
now.
look good?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, there we go.
It smells really good.
Show them. Yes, delicious. What is
Smells
it?
good. It's chicken adobo. So it's like.
What does that mean?
Well, it's chicken thighs that are slow cooked in it's like a garlic soy sauce. And then we always have it with like rice.
All right, so you're probably thinking to yourself, really? You're gonna use the 6610 on this thing instead of the AR637? Well, yeah, this still has a Vario. It still has all the goodies. The only thing this doesn't have, this is a more economical option. So basically you can save like 30 bucks if you wanna buy this. Now, I'm sort of torn. I'm thinking I'm gonna set this up, and if I don't like it, if I want the AS3X, then I'll tear it out of the pits, because the pits didn't feel like it needed the stabilization either, the 1.4 meter FMS pits. But you're gonna notice this looks exactly like an AR637T. The difference is this doesn't have AS3X or safe, okay? So if you're not gonna use it, save the money, okay? And if you don't wanna set it up, the forward programming, you get all the telemetry, so there's really no drawback. So when we set this up, we'll set up the voltage sensor just the same as we always do. Always. Recently did.
Right.
And we're going to use, of course, the NX6. We're going to use the NX6 on this one. Depending on how this goes, because we don't have to worry about the limitations of the AS3X, we may end up set up Crow on this one. Not sure.
Oh.
We're going to start cutting things. Here we go, guys. World's slowest unboxing. By yours truly, Brian Phillips, RC. Okay, these FMS planes, there's a lot of cutting of tape, I've noticed. This is a humongous box. It is huge. But you know what? This plane is gigantic, and it's not in that big of a package. In fact, this package might be about the same size as the package that the ASW-17 came in.
No, that was a little smaller.
Well, I mean, it was a little bit smaller, but that's a considerably smaller plane. When we get this thing out, we're going to be doing you a lot of size comparisons, folks. Okay, thank you, Horizon, for putting some foam to protect my carbon fiber from the tape. Usually I'm always making fun of you guys for protecting your foam from my foam with more foam. But good lordy, look at this. Look how long it is. Here, grab it.
That's crazy.
I know, it is. It's huge. Okay, hold on. I wanted to see if it made a noise. Okay, so you can see the carbon fiber pattern in there. That is so sweet looking. Oh, it's awesome. Okay, anyway, so that's pretty long. Just to give you an idea, okay? This has the wingspan of this airplane. Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Look at that. This is almost 1,500 millimeters. This is like 1,450 millimeters probably. That's 1,470 millimeters.
Right.
This thing is almost as long as the C-47. That is crazy. Okay, and by the way, this thing, see how big it is? All right. I just want to show you guys just how crazy carbon fiber is. How much do you think this weighs?
Well, here, I just touched the tip.
No, you don't get to touch the tip.
I don't get to hold it.
You don't get to hold it. That's cheating.
Oh.
How much do you think it weighs?
In grams?
In grams.
527.
That's 155 grams, guys.
I'm a horrible estimator.
That is so light. Okay, so for those of you, that's 5.5 ounces. Okay.
That's crazy.
All right. 155, 156 grams. That is incredible that thing is so light. That's big, okay? And it's extremely strong. So, which is why it costs a lot to make those things.
Close the door.
As if you didn't have enough already. This one's a little thicker. It's a little shorter. You can still do some damage with that. But that thing is, again, this one is carbon fiber. I think that could be, I don't know, that might be, that's 24 grams. That is so big. Okay, before I forget, I always try with the boring things first. 3,000 millimeter Fox. Okay, it's just the unassuming FMS logos and documentation. Just nothing special, nothing to see here. Just a 3-meter plane, that's awesome. Don't forget that. I don't exactly know what that is. That feels like some sort of a receiver tray. But it's really light, see?
Just throw that anywhere.
Yeah. All right. So these things, now I'm keeping all this packaging because this plane is gigantic. So I'm not sure how this is going to go down, but we may end up having to put it back in the package at some point because it's just so dang big. Oh, dang it, they broke it. This plane comes apart, okay? And you're gonna be like, are you serious? It seriously comes apart? Yes, it seriously comes apart, okay? This thing snaps together, okay? Oh, look at the Fox. The same type of control horns. That is so beautiful. Looks like that. There's plastic. The Fox's nose. Man, that is gorgeous. Look, there's a carbon fiber reinforcement here, and then there's something here too. Let's see what that is. Oh yeah, you see that one there? And then there's one that goes lengthwise this way too. So this thing is strong. Look at this. It isn't bending, okay? Awesome. 2 wires to hook up there. That'll be kind of a pain though. Okay, look at that. Beautiful. I can see there's at least 3 carbon fiber rods in there. Wow. There's one on the side here. Then there's a long one here. Then there's one here and one more. So one here, one here. You can also tell from these little spots here. Big servos, guys. Look at that. Big servo metal gear. You can tell from the metal up there. Slot together design. Let's see if this thing wants to bend for us. No, that thing has got a lot of strength to it. Not probably quite as strong. I could actually put that together. It would take so little time, but I'm not gonna do it. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so this thing is huge. Not unexpectedly. Gigantic, which is why I like it. Look at this. You remember what I said?
Yep.
About that plane? What do we have here, camera crew?
Needs a wheel.
That's awesome. Carbon fiber reinforcement on the aileron. Carbon fiber reinforcement on the flap. Look at this. Look at this. See this? How clean that is. Look at that. That is so gorgeous. See the pocket? No pinch hinges here, guys. Man, that is gorgeous. That is so pretty. Looks like they put this in backward. See that? See how it kind of bends? I think that's supposed to go the other way. Because this one's totally straight, you see?
I have to look at the other side.
And this one's, I think they got that cockeyed. I think that's supposed to actually go here and then through and back. And then look, same release style. See this? Can you give them a shot of the pins releasing? You see it in there?
Yep.
Both front and back. See this little chunk of foam in there? I hope that doesn't interfere with our plug. You see that little chunk of foam?
Is it foam? Might
Yeah.
get like a
There's like
toothpick.
literally foam. There's foam in my hole. Get out of my hole, foam. I'm gonna use tape. That is so weird. Yeah.
Yep.
It was just right on the tip. I don't think that would have stopped it from making contact, but boy, that would have been awkward if it did.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to be clear too, I want to point out something. You see how there's 1, 2, 3, 4? They make these with more pins, I believe, as well. But if you're thinking to yourself, I really want LEDs on this wing. Well, there's already power going to your servos, so pretty sure you can use the power going to your servos to run your LEDs, which is what I've done for years. Okay, so by the way, that sticks into the fuse, not just, that doesn't stick into the wing, so that's actually gonna be the width of the fuse plus that. That thing is huge, awesome. I love the cleanness of that wing. No dihedral on the Fox, it's just a straight wing. That ASW 17 has pretty good amount of dihedral on it. Okay, same thing, opposite side, of course, and look at that. See how that's square? See how that's at an angle? I wonder why that is. That's very strange. Does it look the same? Do I have foam on my eyes?
Yeah, hang on. Okay.
All right, so looking at this, see that? Look at this. In. That's wrong. That one's backward. That's so weird. I can't believe we caught such a stupid little minor detail. I'm fixing it right now, guys. I'm fixing it right now. I'm fixing to fix it. I wonder what size those are. But it's this size? Nope. Of course it's not that size. Maybe it's this size. Nope. Maybe it's this size. Yep. Check this out. Set screw, 1.5 meters, millimeters. Okay, slide that off. Rotate it. See how it's got that bend in it? That's crazy. I can't believe we ran into that problem. And then look how perfect this is gonna line up. It's gonna literally be perfect. Okay. Oops, dang it. I was trying to avoid having that move because now I'll have to line that up, but it's okay. We'll probably have to line it up. Look how much nicer that looks. Gosh, I can't believe FMS screwed that up of how beautiful our builds have gone. But let's be honest. If that's the most problem we have, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That took us all of 30 seconds to fix it.
Any day.
And also, there's some more in here. Oh my goodness, this thing is huge. It's huge.
Where are you putting this thing?
In my room.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Wow, that is a humongo prop. Oh my goodness. How big is that prop anyway?
I don't know. Have to look in the book.
It's white. They were listening to me. It doesn't look like it has a mustache. Although it's a fox. Doesn't a fox kind of have a mustache?
Yeah, would kind of make sense.
Yeah, but then they don't. Okay, anyway. Look at the cockpit. Instrument cluster, so cool. The dude, he looks a little bit like,
He's a pretty good looking dude.
yeah, he's got some strange shaped eyebrows. That's okay, I can pass that. But then look at this. That is awesome. You can see through the back.
Is it just a window? Like it doesn't do anything, right?
In the real plane, I mean, the Fox is a real plane, so they just,
Right.
they just made it like a real one. It's a scale airplane.
But why would you need a window back there?
Because if you want to look back and see if if somebody's trying to catch up with you and launch missiles at you, heat-seeking missiles, no less.
Yeah,
Thank goodness it's a sailplane.
Exactly.
Okay, so this box is humongous. So we have to obviously get rid of it because it's in the way. But look how nice this is, though.
So there is like literally no hardware at all then.
Whoa, there isn't even one nutsack in there. Not even one.
Wow.
Check the bottom for my nutsack.
I don't see any nuts.
Is there anything in there?
Nope.
No bolt sacks?
Nothing.
Are you kidding me? That is like the antithesis of what we did yesterday. It is the exact antithesis of what we did yesterday, which was another plane. And don't get me wrong.
That one actually didn't have that many
That plane
nuts.
flew great, and I really liked it.
Blue.
But it really sucked to put together.
Yes.
So if you get this plane, if you're like me and you have hundreds of them, which I know there's a few people out there like me, this thing is gonna be a box that you might wanna actually keep. And here's why. Because this thing comes apart so freaking easy. and you're gonna literally have no wires to plug in, and it's just gonna snap together. So it may be worth hanging on to. The box is big, but it's a lot smaller than the plane. Yeah. So what we're gonna do is we'll pause, we'll reset, and we'll get right back. So we got a 15.75 prop on that thing. That's huge. And by the way, when they size those, I don't believe that includes the spinner. So if you have a spinner that's like 3 inches, well then it becomes that much bigger. Okay, so the two packs that we're looking at for this is a 5050C and a 5100C Smart Pack 6S, okay? That's supposed to yield, it calls out a 35C, but we don't have a 35C. We have 30, then we go up to 50 and then to 100. And then we're gonna use this AR6610T, which is gonna give us that full suite of telemetry. And I believe you can actually plug in XBus and then GPS too. But anyway, I'm gonna use the voltage from the battery connector on there and then the NX6. If we run out of channels for what we wanna do, we'll go up to the DX18 for this. But this plane is really pretty simple. It's so simple, in fact, it doesn't even come with a bolt bag. So you guys have already seen that, obviously, but I want to take this canopy off so bad, but I guess first I'm going to just build it. It'd just be easier to just build it first. This is obviously going to work for the wings. So I'm just going to lay this over here with the wings. And the tail section you're supposed to build first and then spin it in. I guess it really probably doesn't make a big difference. There's a connector there. Let's see how hard this is. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be so easy. Are you kidding me? Whoa, look at this. See this? That is awesome. This has got to be one of the easiest builds that we're gonna ever do. Okay, so is that in there? I think it's in there. I think it's in there. Because look, can we push it out? Yes, we can. The only problem is I'm not sure how to tell if it's in. Did it just drop?
I think it just clicked, like it sounded like it clicked.
There's still a little bit of a gap there, okay? See, it's just a little teeny gap. I think it's in.
I think it's in.
I think it's in.
Can you now try and push it out?
It's not wanting to go.
No, it was a very faint.
It was very faint,
yeah.
And you can tell because this thing drops down just a hair, okay? That's sweet. They even have a ring on it, and look at this wheel. High quality wheel, okay? So now there's two wires that need to be plugged in here. These are taped when you initially kind of take it out of the package. Brown to brown. So brown's on the top for us. I still don't know what this doohickey is that's on it's on the counter in front of me. Ugh, oh yeah. That label slid all the way up on me. Come on. There we go. Okay, so that's plugged in. Yeah, this is probably a receiver bolt mounting block, I guess. I'm not sure. We'll find out in a minute. Okay. So this is the elevator. Slide that in, make sure you got your colors, make sure they're attached firmly. Okay, so now this one is where the shorter carbon fiber rod goes. Okay, so fuselage joiner. I hope these didn't pull all the way out of whatever they're going through because it seems like there's quite a bit excess there. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of a weird setup. You have to put it in and twist it. So that means I'm gonna actually pull the plane toward me, avoiding hitting the prop. So I'm gonna have to open the plane so I can get the wires pulled back through. Yeah. Okay, so the canopy release is up here. Okay. Looks like it's using an XT90. That's no problem on my end. Oh yeah, there's flaps. And obviously that's ailerons, but then where is this? Where is this? I don't know. I don't see them. I wonder if they got yanked out of whatever they're in. So we have to try to figure out how to do that. These are gonna feed obviously up front. Well, I see them in there. They're just a couple inches back. I can see both of them. They're just in the opening in here.
Okay.
They're back there. Just take my word for it. You're not going to see it unless you get it all the way in there. So that being said, also this says Predator ESC 60 amp. Well, that's a little disappointing. It said 70 on the box and it's a 60. Okay, well, hopefully that doesn't cause problems. Oh yeah, and then I noticed the other day on one of the website, one of the FMS products that we reviewed said it had an IC5 on it, and I had an XT90, I think. Which is fine. The XT90 is fine. I don't really care. I hate EC5s, but I don't really have a problem with an XT90 because they're compatible with the IC5s. You're probably wondering what I'm doing. I'm just putting the excess wire into this little socket here. Okay. So this lines up here. It's a little bit tricky. It looks like it needs to be on this side of the axis. I'm gonna just rest it up against the counter and get that last little bit of wires through. Once you commit to this position, it's gonna be kind of there. So I'm gonna have to lay this down and try to get those wires pulled in. This is just from shipping. I think they fell down in there. Can you hold on to that camera crew, please? Yeah, I can see them. It's just out of reach. So I'm gonna try to put it vertical and see if they'll fall, okay?
Got it.
Now that we've got them kind of fed in there. Hold that vertical, please. Oh, it's so close. I can see them, but I can't quite reach. They're right up in there.
Pliers or something? Forceps?
I know forceps would get them. I'm probably 5 inches in there.
Oh.
I'm so close. I can feel it with the tip of my finger. I just can't quite grab it. There, I got one of them. Okay, so that's...
Yep, I saw one of them move.
Okay, so I'm just gonna pull that in, the excess. So obviously those ones will need to get taped or something. This would be a little bit awkward without a stand, but I kind of wanted to see how this would do. I need that to go back a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so that's in. Good. And you can see I've got that all the way out now. Okay. So maybe we'll tie that off with a string. Now I can see the elevator line is right here. And this is just one of those times where it's like, just out of reach.
My hand is smaller.
I'm sure you could get it, but you're holding the tail, so. I think what I'll do is, maybe I'll pick it up one more time now that everything else is out of the way.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to get it to fall down is all. Okay, all right, try it again, you ready?
Yep.
The wheels are nice on there.
Yeah.
Oh, good, I should be able to get it this time. I can see it really good. Yep, got it. Now I just gotta get it up over the tray. There's a battery tray that it's catching on the foam. Okay, so now I've got both the rudder and the elevator here in hand. I don't know if you guys are gonna have that problem, but I just happened to, maybe I had it in a certain spot. I need to pull this back a hair. Don't let go of it. Okay, so I'm just pulling the excess through. All right, so I've got the excess through. So you can see this now. That's how much there should be. Okay. So if you're gonna undo this in the field, if you're gonna undo this, then you might want to tape it off at some point. But you can stay right there.
Okay.
Okay. This is just gonna slide in. There's one way and only one way. Okay. It just keys in like this. It automatically pushes this back and then it locks and that's it and you're done. Okay, so that was harder than I thought it was gonna be, but it's really not hard. It just was awkward because of the way that wire got stuck.
Yeah.
Okay, so two things. I just noticed where the heat sink, there's a vent right here. That's a sucky place for a vent on an airplane like this. And I'll tell you why. Because as much as I love this plane, and I'm talking like on a scale of 100, I would give this like a 95. It's that good. I love this plane. But they all have their limits. You see that where the vent is?
Yep.
What's in it?
Dirt.
Yeah, dirt. Which is really annoying because there's no way to avoid that. You don't want to put this thing down on pavement because you're going to scratch the crap out of the wings. So now that Fox, on the other hand, has landing gear on all the surfaces that are going to drop down. So I could actually land that on asphalt, but it'll roll forever, I bet. Very excited for this thing. It is going to be so cool to see this thing fly. I can't wait. Huge motor mount, by the way. This whole thing is basically a motor mount. All right, so if we were going to be doing something like Crow, we wouldn't be able to do this. Ugh. That would complicate things quite a bit now, wouldn't it? Because look, let's look at the way these wires are. If you wanted to do Crow, okay, or more sophisticated ailerons and flaps configuration, then what you'll have to do is you'll have to undo this here, take these 4 screws out and pull that out, and then you're going to have to come up with a different solution, like running your own extension cords. That being said, because I want to show this thing bone stock, maybe we'll do that later, but for now we're going to do it stock. I don't want to show you something that doesn't come out of the box at this point, okay? Maybe we'll do that later on though. The throttle line comes up nicely. Obviously we have an XT90 here. XT90s are nice because you can do this to the back and open that up. And you can get in there real easy with your power wire. Okay. It does come with a piece of Velcro, which is nice. Comes with the heavy duty nice FMS straps. These are the heavy duty ones, not the crappy ones. I do like when they send them with Velcro. I feel like that's, on this caliber of plane, they really should be providing Velcro on most calibers of planes. But in this case, you can see it. The receiver is going to go in here. This is not going to be the receiver installation part, but I just want to look at this. You do have carbon fiber straps here, so you need to be mindful about placement of your receiver. Looks like this is some sort of a cover. What is that thing? Does it say in the manual? I don't know.
It looks too wide to do.
Yeah, what is it? Is it an
Anything.
FPV mount? Can you take the pilot out? Oh, that's what it is.
Oh.
That is cool. It comes with it. So basically you can take your pilot out if you want to put on a more appropriate pilot, or if you want to fire the pilot that's in there. It looks like there's 2 screws that hold that in. Okay, so you can take the pilot out if you don't like the pilot, and you can put in your own pilot. That's actually pretty cool. I like that a lot. Really neat. Okay, I actually don't have a huge problem with this pilot. I don't know if it really looks like a sailplane pilot in my book, but who cares? It's not that big a deal. I'm just glad it's not an empty seat. Empty seats are a little bit more lame. That one doesn't even really have
with
a pilot because it's an opaque cover.
Yeah.
So not a big deal. All right, well, it's good. We know what it is now.
Yeah.
So we probably should have left that in the packaging if we were going to store it in there. Now the wings are going to be really easy to put on this, but once they're on, it's going to be a little bit harder to get around this plane. So we'll be isolating ourselves to a certain extent. So let's do it.
Okay. You stay over there. And I'll stay
Yeah,
over
no
here.
kidding. That thing is mammoth.
That's
Okay, so I want to make sure it doesn't fall over.
Crazy.
We've just got it trapped in the couch here. Okay, so if you guys didn't already see it when we were unboxing this thing, we had one of these linkages was kind of backward. So not a big deal. Took us about 1 minute to fix. That was including the tools. You want to hold on to that, please, so it doesn't tip down. Wow, that's like just super, super easy. I'm just waiting for it to be hard, and it's not so far been at all. Click 1, click 2. Okay, now you're gonna have to actually,
Yep, I'm holding it.
you're holding it like it's
Yes.
heavy.
Yes,
Okay.
I know, I got it.
All right. All right, while I've got this wing, can you pan over here?
Yeah. Scooch a little bit because you're like blocking the end.
You see that?
Crazy.
That is so much. This wing is like twice the size.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's hard to articulate to people. When I say 3 meters, I mean, well, it's only, you know.
Wait, do you have it?
Yeah, I have it. It's only half a meter bigger than the ASW 17.
I know.
No, it's like twice as big.
But it's like, yeah.
It's twice as big, basically. That's the thing that's hard to remember or figure out when you're just getting into this hobby. Okay, 2 clicks. 2 clicks, that's what you want. And now it should be pretty much balanced where it is. Now it's just kind of, we're between the cushions there. Why does it want to roll that way? That's strange. Okay, so that thing is gigantic. Oh my goodness. It is awesome though. I am super excited for this radio setup. All right, I can't not do this. I have to play with this for a second. I have to. I'm sorry. It's just the way it's gonna be. There's no getting around it. I just don't want to lose all my leads. I don't want to lose all my leads, so I'm going around my Velcro. And then I will Velcro it in there. And then I can go hold this up next to the other one.
Oh, okay. Then I'll stay here because I have to stay back enough to see them.
Yeah, talk about it. Okay. Wow, this thing is huge. Wow, that is so huge.
Watch the everything.
What do you think about that? I got to be careful of the house.
I know.
Holy crap, this thing is gigantic and awesome. Wow.
Watch your prop. Here.
The prop is a little unwieldy because it doesn't have any pressure on it right now. I didn't expect, I mean, I knew it was going to be bigger, but goodness gracious.
That's like a lot.
That's a lot bigger. Okay, so can you even see it?
Yeah. Can you
Look how much longer this is. The tail.
I mean, like, it makes you look short.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like the biggest guy, but I'm 6 foot tall. Or 6'3" if I'm buying life insurance. That thing is huge.
It's a lot bigger than I thought it was
That
going to be.
That thing is going to be so intimidating in the air. I can't wait to do it. It's going to be so cool. Oh, wow. That is going to be awesome. Okay, so enough of me drooling. Which way did I have this? Did I have the tail that way?
No, you had the nose pointed towards me. But I mean, we can try it the other way. I don't know. I don't know what's going to be better. You might need the plane stand.
There we go.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay. It's so huge, it is its own plane stand. Okay, so 3 meter Fox. We are gonna basically jump straight into the radio setup coming up next. All right, CG's 90 to 95 millimeters back from the leading edge. So I'm gonna mark that now. World's crappiest calipers here, 90. Okay, so I'm just coming out a little bit and I'm just sighting down there. Okay, so there's 1 dot, there's 90, and then 95, so it's like a nothing of a range. Okay. So I'm not sure, on this plane, I might end up going ahead and putting some sort of a bump, like a glue bump or something. You don't have to hold it upside down, but I mark it from the top because it's just easier to see from the top.
Yeah.
And then, actually it's not too hard to control once you've got it all built. It's pretty easy to manipulate where it's sitting. So I am currently at 95 from the leading edge, and I want to come out a couple inches here. Okay, so that's the back mark. And then I want to go to 90. I could actually mark both because this plane is pretty symmetrical. Okay. So there's that one. Okay, so those are our CG points. Some of you guys might do it a little different. I used to use a piece of tape and I'd put CA and build it up until it was where I wanted it. But I just kind of got tired of doing that. It was a waste of time. So now I found it's just just as good to basically do this. Although I think I am gonna mark the underside as well on this plane because it's just so dang big.
Because you're gonna hold it.
I don't know which way I'm gonna be able to see. It's so big. Normally I can just kind of sight down it, but.
Right.
This, oh wow, I gotta show them something I just noticed. Look at this. Okay, look at this, guys. They have snap rings holding the prop in. See that? They have a snap ring on either side. Wow, snap rings on the top and the bottom. That snap ring looks dangerously not in. Wow, that's crazy. It's always nice when you can have a feel for what you're gonna run into out in the field, because in my experience, it's pretty uncommon to have a snap ring holding a spinner on. Okay, so we're gonna go back to 90 and 95. So 90. Okay, so one gripe on this model and models of this caliber. Seriously, we can't get a molded CG mark in this? I think it's because they legitimately don't know when they manufacture it. And so they manufacture it and then they find out, you know, about where it is and they play with it, move it forward a little bit, back a little bit. If you guys think I'm off, there's just a little bit of taper to the swing, so I'm kind of lining it up. I'm not going to this point right here. I'm going to this point here, okay? I could be wrong, and that'll probably make for a devastating flight experience. There we go. There's one mark at 95, and then one mark at 90, okay? And I'm just trying to get it right where it needs to be. All right, so, and I also noticed that the mold release on this model is making it really hard to mark with this marker, but that's fine. That's not a big deal. I do think if we had bumps on there, it'd be kind of handy.
Might be, just
because
since it's so big.
It's so big. I don't want to have to fight to see where my fingers are lined up on there. But if you're not in the habit of marking your planes, you should get in the habit of marking your planes. The other thing that we've been learning kind of from experience is that we need to start marking what battery goes in what planes, because it is getting hard to keep it straight. That's a great problem to have if you're into radio controlled airplanes, let me tell you.
What? Yeah.
Just being gentle. I think it'd be better to put the wheels down if we can.
Okay.
Okay, so we were supposed to be coming back for the radio setup, but we're still kind of not quite there. We're sort of still kind of in this intermediary space where we're still talking about the plane. So I'm just going to write 5,000 milliamp hour. They call for 35C, and that's 6S. Okay? So now we know. Now when I pull the canopy off, I don't have to say, camera crew, what size battery do I use?
Because I remember all of them.
She does. Not so much. It's okay. I don't either. So
I can Google it on my phone.
okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the radio setup. The first step of the radio setup is okay, so this is a little bit different than what we've been doing lately. We've been doing the AR636, 637T rather, which has full telemetry and AS3X and safe if you want. This one here, of course, just has the telemetry, which is what the T stands for. On the end, it's marked here, signal plus and minus. So the signal line goes up to the top, okay? These need to be mounted when they're AR636, or excuse me, 637Ts. They need to go with the plane, with the plane, with the plane, or with the plane, with the plane, with the plane, with the length of the plane. But since this is a telemetry receiver without AS3X, then it doesn't matter. You can put it whatever direction you want. In my case, I'm going to treat it like it's going to ultimately be, I believe you can do this too, but you can't do this. I'm going to treat it like it's going to be an AR637T, okay? Just because I will probably trade my receiver out of the pits because I don't need that in my pits. So that being said, the wires are quite long. It looks like we can reach, and I think given this doesn't have any sort of stabilization in it, maybe if I am gonna switch them, maybe it would be wise to, first of all, think about these wires and think about maybe trying to put those underneath, and then maybe I can zip tie that in, but I don't know where the CG is gonna end up. So why don't we go ahead and test that with the battery.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll just get these loose first. Now, this is gonna be the same connector regardless of if you're using a 6610 or a 637 TA. So what I do is I'm gonna pause, or I'm gonna twist this, and we'll pause it once we get started twisting it. This is just a means of making it neater. Okay, so we'll work that down the length. Obviously it comes all twisted up. Pause. All right, so we've got this thing twisted up so that it's a little bit more tame. And we do need to work out the CG, so we were kind of releasing those. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna feed this through the back side of the connector here so I don't forget. The XT90. Okay, so we'll feed that through the XT90 as well. Okay, so the easiest way that you can do this would be to just solder the thing. But in my case, I want to show you that you don't absolutely have to solder. If you want to wholly depend on your telemetry, it probably would be a good idea to solder it, especially on a plane of this caliber. So grab some strippers, take back just a little bit extra sheath on here. So you got a little bit more contact area. And then I'm going to spin this, or twist it rather. And that's just going to get us a little bit more area to contact the lead. We're going to do that the same on both sides. Okay, strip that back. Now this does make this totally removable too, which is kind of nice if you decide to, you know, get rid of a plane or whatever. So you see, then there's so you see how I'm just peeling that up a little bit. This is just a little 0.7 millimeter hex driver. Okay, so I want to feed this through into that area. And then just try to slide it down in. You could use an awl would probably be better. I've also done this with as simple as a toothpick, but it's a little bit more frustrating because the toothpick likes to break on you. And technically that would be fine, okay? Because it's in there and that silicone's gonna hold it, but I would like to push it down until the silicone is totally covering that up. And again, you could just solder it on there, it wouldn't take very long. But if you don't know how to solder, I want you to be aware that there is a trick, and this is the trick. Okay, so I'm just gonna, there we go, I finally got it in there all the way. So now that that's in there far enough, dang it. See, it ripped. That's what I was afraid of. So once it rips, there's nothing to hold it, so we'll have to solder this one on there to keep it on there. And then this side, we'll just show you for easy figuring if it's gonna end up working. Okay, so I'll just push that out and then slide this thing down in there. Okay, so just hold that down there. And there is another, you can do this anywhere along the line if you want to, but you have to poke the silicone area and make a hole. And people sometimes are a little bit reluctant to do that. And I wouldn't blame you. Okay, so you can see how that would hold on to that, and then all you have to do is just kind of give it a tug, and then usually you can just throw a little piece of tape around there just to hold it in place. And that's going to give you plenty of contact, because all you're doing is you're testing the voltage for telemetry. It's not like you're pulling power to operate something, okay? You're not running the receiver with this. The BEC from the electronic speed control is running the receiver. So if you're running the receiver, you would solder at 100%. But this is basically like taking your test leads on your digital multimeter and touching this, okay? You just got enough pressure from that, and then the tape that would go around it would finish it up. So in our case, since I ripped the side of this black wire, then that puts me in a little bit of a tough spot, because then I have to, it kind of forces my hand. And that solder will suck down into this wire here. So in my case, I think what I'll do is I'll just go back here until I get into the, see how I'm just kind of make a little place where I can sneak through the wire. See how I'm just going between the braids, okay? I don't want to break even one of those strands. I'm just kind of moving them out of the way a little bit. See, now I've got the strands released, and then I can just slide my wire through. Okay. So that's my get out of jail free card there. That's if you don't know how to solder. Of course, I know how to solder, and it's so easy. But maybe you're in a spot where you can't solder, or you don't have your soldering iron, and you're not in a position to replace it right at the moment. So there you go. So pretty simple stuff. Just roll that around, okay? So now, I'm going to grab a little bit of electrical tape. And the electrical tape is a means to an end, just to kind of seal everything up. Again, you're not trying to operate an electronic circuit. You're just using this as a test point. So I just want this to be as easy as possible for people, because the telemetry is a nice tool. Because then you can set your warnings and you can fly this thing for a lot longer than 30 minutes. Okay. And we'll just go around a handful of times. Okay. And then we'll slide these things back up here in a second and finish twisting a little bit more. This is quite a bit easier than soldering, but it's just as effective. It's going to hold just fine. The only place I can see really having a serious advantage for the soldering would be, of course, if you're going to be running power off of this. If you're running power, don't do it this way, because you want it to be 100% secure then. But you know, nothing's 100% secure in these planes, as long as I'm flying them. Then you can slide that back up and snap that little end back on, and then you're ready to rock and roll. Now I can just twist this again. Okay, whoops, twist it the other way. And just kind of brace it and then twist. Brace it and then twist. Okay, just like that. And then you can take that back to the source or wherever. This cable has to go back to the receiver as well. So I found out that it works really nice to kind of tuck that down under the, like in this case, there's wood where it comes out from under. If you wanted to, you could tuck that under. But I think in this case, I'm just gonna feed this back down to the bottom and more or less tie that together with one zip tie, I think. I think that's what we're gonna try. One zip tie that's gonna bond all this together. And that keeps it, that way there's no pressure that gets transferred to this, okay? When you're screwing with it, you're not gonna have pressure that gets transferred back to your connection points. In fact, I'm trying to decide, yeah, I'll go ahead and tie all these together. I want to get them pointed the right direction. I'm sure the visibility is really good there. I might turn the flash on and see how that, if that helps with that black backdrop. Does it help?
Oh, yeah, maybe just a little bit while you're doing that.
Okay. Okay. I'm not left-handed, so this is really awkward there. I don't know why the camera crew is on that side. I should trade you sides because I'm right-handed. Okay, careful of the table, or I mean the chair rather. Okay, so you get the idea. That's going to give you your telemetry on the voltage. And then obviously we need to get everything plugged in. Gosh, it's like I'm still in an awkward spot.
I was trying to look over your shoulder over here at least.
I don't know. Sometimes it's like there's just not really a non-awkward spot.
No. The wing is just kind of right there. So.
And you see there's a disparity in length there, so that's going to be something we'll want to take care of at some point. But for now, let's go ahead and land our wires. Now, normally I would set up the transmitter and do all that first, but in this case, we don't have forward programming to worry about, but it still doesn't really matter. You can go whichever direction you want. This is obviously throttle. So in our case, well, that's why we do this, because we need to know what channels are what. Okay.
Right.
So we turn this on. We happen to be in the ASW 17, so we could hypothetically actually copy that model. So it says throttles channel 1. So we want the white wire going up on throttle. Okay, so this has a bind button, just so you know. So you want to be mindful that if you don't want to use a bind plug, then make sure you leave access to push that button. Excuse me. And then this is our telemetry data line. So you see how there's a key on the kind of toward my belly? That needs to go out. Okay, then that'll plug in here. So that's plugged in. And I don't know if we'll just maybe do that, make it look pretty. Okay. In fact, I kind of like that enough to where I might want to tie that off a couple of times, just so that it's always together like that. That might be worth doing. We have the electrical tape too. We could try that. I don't normally use electrical tape in my planes, except for little doohickeys like this. But I think what I'll do just to hold down weight is I'll grab a couple 3 pieces. Zip ties are nice, but they have the, you know, that head you've got to cut, and that doesn't always necessarily serve our interest, because then when you get your hands in there, you get a sharp edge on them.
Yeah.
Okay. Go like this. Now, you wouldn't have to do all these finish detail steps that I'm doing, but some people are going to get a whole lot more aggressive about it than I will. Okay. All right, so we got 3 tape points there. I'd like to slide that up a little bit more. Well, that's good enough. I'll just do that. Okay, so that looks really nice then. Keeps everything neat. Then coming from this is channel 6. I have no idea what that is. I think flaps were labeled. Nope. One of them was labeled. Yeah, flaps, which is channel 6. Of course, it's not channel 6 necessarily. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this case. It happens to be channel 6 on this application, so I'll use channel 6. Orange goes up. Is that signal? Okay. Then we'll just leave those wires. I gotta think about that for a second. Kind of depends on how these wires are going to end up terminating. I don't know if I can get under this tray very easy, so I think I'm gonna be forced to go above. So channel 6 is just gonna go to the crisscrossy land right there. Then elevator, which is channel 3, according to our little monitor mode there. So channel 3, orange goes up. Okay, and then rudder is channel 4. So it's just after the elevator. That feels kind of weird. Did you see that?
It looked kind of cockeyed when you put it in there.
Yeah, I know. It does. It's keyed, but it's keyed with the Horizon style connector. The Futaba style connector is a little bit different. Okay, so this one must be the ailerons. I have to reasonably assume that since nothing else is labeled. Okay, so that's all plugged in now. And push tight. So now we have this nice bundle of wires here. and I want to relax it all in one nice loop. And I think I want to go this way with it, okay? So for now, I'm just going to hold this with my thumb in the middle, and then we will deal with the antennae momentarily. You technically wouldn't need to do anything with it. You could just drop it back in there. You could just drop it back in there. That's a little bit tempting.
And just leave it? Like it doesn't have to be secured?
No, it doesn't actually, but the telemetry might get screwed up. So I think I'm going to go right here with it.
Okay.
Well, the pack is going to fit very easily here. And we have room to get the wires out here. So I think, yeah, we should be able to, we could just put it here. We could just probably zip tie it right there. That'd be the easiest way to do it.
Okay.
Except those zip ties are a little bit small.
Need a longer one.
I'm gonna get like a regular size one, 11-inch one. It should make it a little bit easier to get it in and out. Those small ones look nice, but the bigger ones are gonna get us around that frame better.
Yeah, to go all the way down and under and around.
Okay, so I just got 3 zip ties, the little bigger ones.
Okay.
So I'm gonna basically make a little loop on there and then do that twice. And that'll give us the ability to get up and under there without too much trouble. Now you could zip tie one and then tie through the zip tie.
For your
That would
wires.
make it, yeah, that would make it
Oh.
super easy.
Yeah.
Or you can go diagonal. I don't think the diagonal is necessarily better. I think in this case, we'll probably just do it this way once because we may be switching this out with the AR636T. Because if there's any hint of issues on stabilization, then we'll do that.
Yeah.
I don't think there will be, incidentally. We could even put it sideways like that. It doesn't really matter. Sorry, I gotta rotate this for a sec.
Yeah.
Because I can't get my hands in there in the right angle. So I guess, yeah, since it's not critical to this application, I still would really rather have it straight. Because I don't want to kink these wires, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not going to come out of there, that's for sure. Now the antennae, I should say, the antennae need to be secure, but this is just going to be a fight if I have to screw with this the whole time. So I'm going to try to get that twist in this cable. See how I've got this bundle? It's round. I'm going to go under. I'll just go around the whole thing. Yeah, I think I can just go around the whole thing. So once I get this started, I can pull the bundle into the loop of the zip tie. Then I can start it, and as I pull, see, as I get that where I want it, then I can tighten that down. Get my last little bit of cinch on it.
The cat is playing with zip ties.
But you see how this is twisted on me? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry.
So I think I'm gonna probably unplug this and just pull it through and then plug this back in. Because then I can, like I said, if we switch it to an AR637T, then we'll have we can straighten it then, because it doesn't matter this way. I don't think it does. I guess we'll find out too. Then we'll know for ourselves instead of what we've been told. Sometimes it's nice to just figure stuff out yourself instead of just always depending on what other people tell you, like on YouTube. Okay, so now we need some clear tape. I don't like using electrical tape or anything thick to hold down antenna leads. And you do not want those antennas to be right next to this carbon fiber.
Right.
Because that carbon fiber will block the emission of RF, radio frequency, okay? There's nothing worse than having your emission blocked. Okay, so we got that tape there. I think what I want to do is I want to tape this down into this cavity here. This one's going to go lengthwise. Something about working with planes, there's like always something that's in the way of your hands. I wonder if that's true for full-scale planes too. Probably.
Probably.
So that one goes this way. So this one I want to go vertical with. So I'm going to actually run it back here and then vertical like this, okay? So that should be fairly simple to do. Now that I've said it's going to be simple, we'll run into 7 problems. Okay. Does a canopy touch that? I don't think it does. Let's check. No, it's not going to touch that. I think we're good there. Okay, so you see how that's going to work? That should be pretty straightforward. And then since this thing is committed to being at an angle, or being square rather, then we'll just leave it the way it is. Because who cares? It doesn't matter in this application. Okay, if that was an AR637T, it would matter. But since that doesn't have stabilization, it doesn't matter. If you haven't been paying attention in the last 20 minutes, that's what we've been talking about. All right, so now I need to put away all this junk and then come back with a Phillips screwdriver, and I'll show you the next step is gonna be a little bit weird. Those XT90 connectors, they have a certain amount of, how do I wanna say this? They stretch out so much. And once you get to a certain point, then they bite really nicely onto the IC3 connectors. But sometimes they come kind of squished together, the petals.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a female connector.
That's an IC5, right?
IC5. See how it's got a round connector here? Okay. And it's opened. This has a pin. Okay, so the pin, these petals, sometimes you need to open them up just a hair to get a really nice bite on your battery connection. Okay. So now that those are opened, I'm just rocking back and forth and then up and down. Now, at this point, we need to basically, I just want to plug this in and make sure we have a good contact point. Okay. So your polarity does matter because you could hypothetically maybe get this in backwards, so you need to be mindful of that. Okay, so this is your positive and this is your red, so it's positive. Okay, so it goes in real easy. Okay, so we've unplugged it. Now we need to basically set up our radio setup. Okay, so the radio setup, this part is the part, how are we gonna do this, camera crew?
I'm not sure.
This stuff all needs to get put away. Do you want to pause and we'll come back for the radio setup part?
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to work on setting up a new model for this FMS Fox, the 3 meter. We already have the radio installed, which is a 6610T. So we're going to have telemetry, but no stabilization. It's such a huge plane, we probably won't need any stabilization. So without further ado, we're going to click, scroll down to System Setup, disconnect the RF. We're going to model select, add new model. You can also do that in the model utilities, which is somewhere in here. But I'm just going to go to model select, add new model, model type. You can scroll through. Okay. In this case, we could do a sailplane, but I don't think I'm going to do a sailplane. I'm just going to do an acro. Okay, so now we go to the model type. We can verify what we've got. Model name, so it's number 8. So now at this point, we're going to type in FMS, and we'll pause until we get this typed in.
Yep.
All right, so we've got the FMS Fox 3 meter. The name scrolled in, the aircraft type. We need to switch this to 1 aileron, 1 flap, and then normal tail. And then I just want to scroll down to the picture, and we'll scroll over until we get to a powered glider. Oh, it's the top. I was hoping we had a closer match, but that's pretty close. Okay, then we can walk back out. First thing I want to do is a throttle cut. That's a safety issue. Inhibit, and throw that on switch H. Remove the throttle. You can see in the monitor it doesn't change. That means the throttle cut's on. When the throttle cut's off, it'll jump up. Okay, throttle cut's back on. Then I want to go to flap system. I want to attach it to switch B. Because I don't know what direction these things are going to be by default, I'm going to go ahead and set this to -100. So that's like absolute bottom, and then this is the absolute top. So it's either right or it's wrong. So we'll figure that out in a minute. And then I'm going to set just like 10 and 20. Okay, that's elevator correction. So that's going to deploy at the same speed as this, which is going to be 2 seconds. Now, sometimes in sailplanes, you won't set up flaps like this. You actually do it almost like a brake. So, but this is a powered glider. So if you run a sailplane configuration, you'll have like throttle on, throttle off, or maybe like throttle on 3 different settings. And then this will activate your crow or the flaps. Okay, so I'm not doing that. I'm treating it like an acro, like a regular plane. Okay, so walk back out.
Or do you do like a takeoff flap setting or not?
That's what this is. So the first position is like all the way down.
Oh.
Then it's neutral, then it's level.
Okay.
So because these things are designed to operate down. Some flaps are designed to operate down and up. It just depends on the plane. So then telemetry, we will auto config at some point. Okay, so we're gonna walk out of there. Throttle cuts on. Oh, let's do expo. Here's our initial expo setting. So I'm gonna set it to switch F. The lowest setting will be like 10% expo, then 20, then 30, and I'll drop this back down to like, let's do 80, just a little bit more aggressive than usual because we don't have a stabilizer. So 10, then 20, then 30, but we're gonna drop back the rates to 80, okay? Then I'm gonna scroll to elevator, attach that to the same switch. By the way, guys, this is pretty much the exact same thing I do on every model, and I get the question constantly. I just start here, and then that gives me somewhere to work with. Okay, so if I'm in the air, I start in the middle. If it's not sensitive enough, then I can go to more sensitive. If it's too sensitive, then I can go to less sensitive. But generally speaking, on a plane, you're gonna tend to get up in the air and realize it's way too touchy, not way too untouchy, okay? Because 10% expo is still not very much, okay? So the lowest setting, same thing for rudder, would be 10, whoops. Then 20, whoa. Then 30, and drop down the rates to 80. Okay. Oh, do you see what's going on there? See how that's just black all the way across? I screwed something up on this. You see this?
Yeah, why is the 0 grade?
Hold on. I'm going to switch this to a different switch. Wow, that is really weird. I'm going to go to a 2-position switch. Okay, so then hopefully that clears it. But you see how it's gray? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go back to the switch and set it to switch F. So that is correct for the top setting. That setting, and I want this one off. This setting, that's correct. And then this setting, I don't know why it's there. Okay, there we go. That is so weird. Good. That's how you turn it off. What the heck? That is so weird. Okay, so I'm going to walk out and see if that goes away. So in ailerons, see it's switch position 0, then 1, then 2. That's the way I want it. Mm-hmm. Then elevator, it's 0, 1, 2. And then with rudder, it's...
What? I understand what's going on, but I don't understand why.
Oh, it says curve 2, 1, 2. You see how it says curve 2? I accidentally scrolled that. Dang it. Now watch this. So that's curve 0, 1, 2. 0, 1, 2. Okay? We're going to go back up here. I accidentally changed this. Okay? See how that's changing? So when I'm on curve 2, I want that curve 2. When I'm on 0, I want that to be 0. And I want this to be 2. I want that to be 0 here. Okay? You see what's going on? So now I can go back to this switch and assign it here. Position 0, position 1, position 2. But the thing I'm kind of struggling with is that should be position. Well, maybe it's 1. There we go. There's... Okay, so let's go to this one and see what it looks like. See how it says curve 0, 110? When I go here, it's curve 1, 120, and then it's curve 2. So it's curve 0, curve 1, curve 2. Mm-hmm. Okay, just corresponding to the F position here, because it's 0, 1, 2. So on rudder, you see how it says curve 2? That should not be curve 2 right now. That should be curve 0. But then 0 is blanked out. I don't understand why. There we go.
There it goes.
Oh my goodness, that was ridiculous. Okay, so you see curve 0, 0, curve 1, 1, curve 2, 2. Wow, yes. I screwed that one up. I think as I was scrolling, I accidentally bumped in there.
And moved it over.
Well, now we know how to fix it at least. Sorry to drag you guys through that, but I guess it's probably better that we figured it out together. Okay, so now at this point, we've got our timer. We need to set the timer. I can't set my telemetry warning yet for that little red wire that we set up yet, because we have to have telemetry learned first. Mm-hmm. What was I going to do?
Timer.
They said 30 minutes, so I don't know. What do I set it for, 10 minutes? And then this one's not going to be a 1 out. It's just not going to be a 1 out. Just because I just don't see it being necessary or appropriate. Because 1 out means you move the stick past a certain percentage and then it stays on.
Right.
Whereas in this case, I only really want to monitor how long we've been giving throttle, because that's really what's going to eat up your power. So in this case, I'm also going to have a voltage warning, so that's what we'll mess with. So I want, at 1 minute, I want voice, and then at 30 seconds, nope. At 20 seconds, nope. At 10 seconds, I want voice. Mm-hmm. Then at expiration, I want voice and vibrate, or do we do tone and vibrate? Tone and vibrate. Mm-hmm. And then every minute, I want voice, because then they'll read it off, okay? All right, so there you go. Now, one thing is a heads up. If you had old firmware on your DX18 or DX8 or DX9 and you update the firmware where we had that additional forward programming package, you need to go in and change your old setups because they will not actually have an expiration alarm, because you have to go to that second and third screen to set up your expiration. You have to associate the alarm with the expiration. Otherwise, it's just going to go off. I mean, it won't even go off. It'll keep counting down, and then it'll count back up, but it won't ever go off. That's real exciting the first time you figure it out. So, all right, so the timer, see it's counting down, it's counting down, it's counting down, counting down. Now I'm below 25%, so it stops counting. Then it's counting, it's counting, it's counting, and then it stops. And I can still clear the timer that way. Okay, throttle cut's on. I'm in my regular settings for neutral. My flaps are in middle. The middle is the safest place to start this operation, even though you are technically gonna set the fail-safe. In fact, I'm gonna go to this. Hopefully it's safe. Okay, because I want the fail-safe usually sets when you bind. You can also go in and change that later, okay? So we also need to look at CG while we're doing this. So we're gonna stick the battery in here. We put this on a plane stand. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but that's just so I can rotate it here in a minute. Okay, this battery is wide, so it fits really good in there. No problem so far. You can actually put this battery the other way and it'll fit too, so just depending on which way you prefer. I prefer it widthwise. It's a little easier to get the strap in there, I think. You get a bite quicker is what I mean. Okay, so that's basically centered. I would love it if that would work, okay? I can definitely get to the plug, and I want to simulate the plug being here because that plug is heavy, okay? So I want that to be there, and I want this to be there. That'll simulate the plug being plugged in, okay? But it's not plugged in, so I don't have to worry about safety or anything. Throttle cut is on, just as a pretense at this point. Drop this down, make sure it snaps. Okay, now I need to test this for CG. So the CG, of course, is marked on the bottom of the wing, and I can also feel it. So I'm starting in the middle. It's tail heavy at the moment. So I'm just gonna pull that forward so that it's out of the strap and it's like splitting the difference. Oh. My IC5 connector is kind of in the way up here. Unfortunately, it's in the way enough that I can't quite get it pulled out of there. Okay, so it's pulled out now. Okay, so I've got it halfway up. Okay, this is the 50C pack, so it's a little heavier. Okay, we still have an easy time reaching. This time I'm gonna put the XT60 underneath so it's easier to get it out. Definitely got to put your canopy on because that's going to impact your CG. Okay. I may have to flip this upside down just so I can get my body around it. Because it's so dang big.
Yeah.
This is so awkward because it's so big. I have a CG tester in my basement, and I may have to use the tool this time. I feel like we're still definitely a little bit on the tail heavy side. And we're not like excessively tail heavy. This is a sailplane. You could actually fly it a little bit tail heavy depending on what you're trying to do with it. I don't think I'm gonna fly it tail heavy though. Geez, that's like way forward though. These smart packs are quite a bit smaller than your equivalent not smart pack. Okay. I feel like that's right there. That's good enough for what I'm doing. Okay. I feel like that's conservative for a starting point. Can you hold that just so that it doesn't fall? I want to mark it.
Yes.
You want to hold the fuse like I was. That way it doesn't slip. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and make a little mark here. And so that's the back of the battery. Okay, rear. Okay, so that's good enough. And then the leads are going to go forward, but that's going to be pretty much obvious when we get ready to fly. So now that we have that all in place, let's go ahead and just, the safest way to do this will be to put it on the plane stand. If you want to let go, I'll grab it. It's actually not that hard to move the plane around. I thought it was going to be worse. It's just, I'm trying not to hit 47 other things. Luckily, we have a nice big open area here. Okay, so if this spins, I need to arrest it so it doesn't cut me, and I need it to not fly into the wall, okay? So I'm gonna be able to stop it, and I'll be able to get to the prop, or to the plug. So we're gonna get this out. Okay, so this will be for binding. So in order to bind, I'm gonna shut my transmitter off. On this NX6, you gotta press and hold the button. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, so it's shutting off. Okay, the light's out. So now at this point, we can plug this in. Okay, so it is plugged in. Okay, we hear the beeping. That's a good sign. So now at this point, I'm going to rotate the plane a little bit for the camera crew reasons. Okay, camera crew, are you in a safe spot?
Yes.
Okay, bind plug. Whoops. I need to press this button here. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Okay, so it's flashing. I can let go, press and hold, and then press and power. Okay, the flashing's flashing. It stopped flashing. Now it's slow flashing. Okay, this is where we want to be careful. It's auto-configuring the telemetry. Okay, and we're up. The light is solid. Elevator's backward. Ailerons are backward. And rudder is correct. So before we forget that, let's go into the servo setup. Let's go to reverse. Ailerons and elevator. Okay, so first things first, elevator goes up, down, roll, roll, and up, down, and yaw, yaw. Okay, cool. The flaps are not hitting anything, which is great. That's down. That is a fast servo. That's awesome. I'm really happy with that. Okay, so now we're going to have to overdrive this servo to get it up to the home position. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next step would be to overdrive the servos to get these flaps if you want to kind of shoot down the wing here. So in this same menu, I want to go to servo setup and I want to go to flaps. Okay, so currently we're in our, that's our landing flap setting. I'm overdriving and nothing's happening. So I'm going to put that back to 100. I'm going to walk it backward. Whoa. You see what's going on? That's kind of weird.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah, why does it... That one over there seems like it's down further, but then it bottoms out. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we will actually flip the plane over for this step.
Okay.
Okay, before we get ahead of ourselves, let's just double check the throttle cut's working. Throttle cut's on and tested to 100%. Throttle cut is off and it doesn't start. Okay, good braking is on. Throttle cut's on and tested. Always test your throttle cut because if you hit the wrong switch, you may not know, okay? I think that these servos are just not lined up right, which is okay. So we can actually put the canopy on just to kind of keep things in check for the space since it's so big. Okay. All right, so then we'll set this down. Ooh, are we gonna be able to do that?
So far. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now we're gonna look at all our control surfaces in the neutral state. This is lined up nicely on the front edge. The rudder is lined up nicely on the back edge. The front is lined up nicely. The aileron over here is lined up nicely. I'm just looking at these two surfaces here for smoothness. I'm grabbing it with my fingertips. Excuse me. And then over here, the aileron also feels perfect. So really it's just the flaps. So do you remember what size that was?
I think you said
1.5?
7.
No, that was what we used for poking the holes.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, I need to be able to get there.
Okay.
Sorry. So we're gonna loosen this, and I'm just gonna loosen it to the point where that's at its home position, okay? And we're just gonna see how this goes. Okay, so that's all the way out. Ooh, that looks bad. See all that black stuff coming out? Mm-hmm. That's probably not usually a good sign. Watch your eyes. Okay. Okay, so I think that might have been stripped out pretty bad. So I'm gonna try to rotate that around just because I know I've got clean threads here. Now these can run up, that's pretty sweet. I'm not gonna run them up like that, but you can if you decided you wanted to do that. Yeah, I'm just gonna switch to this side because you can go up or down. So you kind of have a get out of jail free card. Do you understand what I'm saying? Am I making sense here? Mm-hmm. Okay, then I'm just gonna put this set screw back in because I felt like it was stripping out like horribly bad. Did you see all those little black fibers coming out? It wasn't fibers, it was steel. Okay, so that's torqued down tight and we're flush. Okay, that's in the neutral setting or like the normal flying mode, okay? Now sometimes people, when you're setting up a sailplane, you may actually want these to go up a little bit to create a higher speed moment. So you can do that and it'll flatten the wing, which creates a little bit less drag. It acts like a spoiler. I'm not doing that on this today. I have done that before. It's pretty cool. It's a cool effect. Okay, so that one. Very nice hardware on this thing. You'll notice that one's not quite all the way flush.
So up just a little bit.
Yeah.
Or down, I guess.
I wonder why that is. That's very strange. Because I guarantee you the teeth on this is going to move that. It's going to move from this position to like that position at least. It's not, it's going to be too much.
Yeah.
Remember how we had the one that was kind of goofy?
That was this
That's all the way. Oh, this one's also screwed up. Did you see what just happened?
I didn't. I can see
Look
it
at the
now, though.
threads.
Yeah.
Give them an ultra close up. That's not cool. Watch your eyes. Okay. So I'm just going to rotate that around too, because there's no sense in having problems because of that. If you deploy one of these flaps and not the other, your plane is going to be extremely difficult to control. I have landed a number of planes with one flap that's down, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have too. But it is not a fun experience. I'm having a hard time getting that started.
It's not going all the way through the hole.
Yeah, that's giving me trouble. There we go. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna have to possibly overdrive the servos, which means I have to set this one up and that one up to do the same. But let's see where it goes now. Take off. Oh, you see it's running into the foam. It's running into the foam here. So that's technically all the way up. So we need to actually take those control horns out and adjust this. This is very surprising we're having to do this. Not something I expected on this model. Okay, so we need a screwdriver. We need another screwdriver. Then we're going to need something to melt with.
Which side are you starting on?
the side we're working on.
Okay.
Okay, so there's two trains of thought on this. I'm gonna just tell you mine. I'm gonna come way back here and just penetrate. And if I can get it without heating it, great. This doesn't need to be super pretty because you're never gonna know it's there, okay? See how that worked? That worked pretty good actually. Okay. Okay, now I'm just gonna literally back off the screw. Okay. So I'm just gonna heat up the Chinese screwdriver tip a little bit and then melt the foam. That was kind of a weird jump. Did you feel that?
I heard it. So what are you actually doing right now?
I'm repositioning this control horn. Okay, so now I'm gonna pull it off of there. And then I'm gonna rotate this so it's like maybe one step up. Now watch, that's all the way up. This is part way. See how it's overdriving? It's running into the foam. So I have more play than I know what to do with. So I can actually make it go up like that. You see how that's stopping? Now the alternative choice is to take out some of this material here, which we're gonna do a kind of a balance of both. It would be cool to be able to run those things as spoilers and to run them as very big flaps. But most people probably won't do that. Okay, so I'm just gonna take and score this. I wanna take this like this. And then I want to take and cut just a little bit, the little bit that I need. That's all I want to do. Nothing more, okay? I'm going to take and cut that straight. I'm going to cut that straight. And then once we have that, I actually need a flat screwdriver too. A flat screwdriver is really good for getting this foam out when it's like that. Yeah, like this screwdriver, because it's got just the right width on the head. Okay, so now I can slide in where I had cut nicely with that X-Acto knife blade. And just pull it out. So I can just yank this stuff out. And I would do that with heat if I wanted to make it perfect, okay? So then I can rotate this and then rotate that. You see how that side over there is bound up, but this side is not, okay? So really, I should, by rights, I should be doing that to both sides. So I'm just gonna grab this foam out. There's a little bit binding me up. I just want just a little bit more thickness here. Hardly any, is really all we need. Okay. All right, and then you'll notice that there's this hook here that goes around the control horn. So where that comes down, watch your elbow. Okay, so that's gonna be getting close. All right, so now I can rotate this back a little bit. I think it's gonna end up being way past where we need it though. Okay. See? Because we're still running into it quite a bit. So I'm going to take a little bit more thickness. I think it's going to look better if we just have a pocket cut straight.
Yeah.
All right. I'm really surprised we're having to do this. So it seems a little bit strange to me. I mean, I'm really glad we got nice servos, but see how it hits it? And then it also hits here. So I think that's as low as I want to make it. So that being said, I think I need to go one step up, okay? And I think we're going to get away with that now. And then I just go back and screw it back in. Can you see what I'm doing there from your angle?
Well, it's kind of hard with the foam in the way.
With the phone in the way? Or the phone in the way?
Foam in the wing, but you can see, I think.
I have to kind of hold it at an angle to get that started. Ooh, evidently I don't have that started square. I think you might actually be able to take these out. Yeah, see there's a screw there. You see that, guys? Man, these are really nice planes. So you can undo this screw, you can take the servo out. You don't have to make little pocket doohickeys like I do here. I didn't even know that was there.
To get that little access panel off.
Yeah. It's like actually serviceable. I'm just not used to that. Okay, so I pick those up with the magnetic tip of my Chinese screwdriver. Okay. Okay, so look, 23-gram digital metal. See? So you can actually pull that straight up and out. Okay, so once that's up and out, now you can get this lined up perfectly. But you're gonna have to kind of do a lot of that stuff down in the ditch anyway. That's what I was trying to do, is start the screw. That's tight now. Okay, so now we can drop this back in. That is super nice. That's uncommon to have serviceability on a foam plane like that. It's also uncommon to have to do that on an FMS plane.
Yeah.
But whatever. Better to find out now than after you're in the air. Okay. You see that they're up past what I want to call 0, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. I just wanted to make sure that was evident to everybody. Okay. Then those things just drop back down. It's like pressure fit. All right, so now let's adjust flaps down. Okay, so we're not going to hit. So that's perfect. That's what we need to replicate over here. So now that we know what we need to replicate, this should be pretty easy. This just happens to be kind of one of those where I'm a righty and I need to be a lefty to get this the way I want it. The easiest way, you know. Okay. Okay, let's see if that's probably not enough, but let's check. Okay, and that needs to go back a little bit more too. It needs to go back one more setting so that it's protruding out just like the other one is. I haven't cut myself on camera with an X-Acto knife lately.
Yeah, it's been quite a while.
I'm about due. Usually do that without the camera crew around. She usually kind of helps keep me from chopping myself up a little bit. Okay, perfect. That one was way easier because I just didn't screw it up as bad. Did I hack that up just now? I think I did. Okay, so now I want to adjust that one out. That's going to give me the ability to get them both. I'm really torn on how I want to do this. Do I just want to do the screw thing here, or do I want to pull those opened?
Because if you pull that little cover up, you could take it off and
Without.
not have to put the little hole inside.
However, this lid doesn't open here. without having access cut. So I'll just pop that little triangle out, or whatever that shape is, half circle. Okay. See that?
Oh, yeah, I see.
Now I can loosen these, and I need to go one tooth set towards you.
Yes.
On the spline. You know what the spline is, right?
It's like the main.
It's like the output shaft.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the servo. Okay. So we'll lift this up. And we can grab this whole servo up and out. Now I can loosen this screw. These are really nice servos, goodness gracious.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know what you're trying to do there.
I don't know. I was hoping they could see putting it back on the little spline since it was harder to see on the other side.
I just don't know if I have that in the right position. I think I do. I think I got them even now. Let's just verify. Yep, that's pointed up. So now I can just adjust the rod for the rest of that, okay? Okay, so I gotta get the screw back in, and then we can also make adjustments within our servo setup. Now these are digital servos, so my experience with digital servos is if you run them over 100%, sometimes they do weird things. And if you get up to like 150%, sometimes they'll drift, and that's real scary.
Drift?
They'll drift. Some of them will, not all of them, but some of them will. I've had it happen on a few occasions. Because you get out into this range where the pulse width modulation doesn't really tell the digital servo what to do, and so it just kind of doesn't know what to do, so it just drifts.
Pulse width modulation gets me every time.
I know. Okay. All right, let's try this. You'll notice it's up, that's good. Okay, so take off, if you will. Landing, if you will. And we're not overdriving. Okay, so we're not bound. Okay, these have got to be the quietest digital servos I've ever used. Because normally they're just like buzzing and making all sorts of weird digitally style noises. Okay, so now we need to adjust the settings so that we can bring this back where we want. And then you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Now this is probably gonna bottom out now. We'll see if we can get away with this. This will give us more flap deflection. Dang it. The hardware on these sailplanes has been phenomenal. They're pretty heavy, but they're really nice. There are certain things that are worth the extra weight on a plane, and that's definitely one of them. Having good quality hardware. And I would be speaking from not experience. All right, so now when we put it to takeoff setting, we have deployment. Then we put it to landing. You see what happens? We're running in here now. See how it's bottoming out? So now we have to make the decision how we handle that. This is just an insert, so I can just, I think my leaning is to just go ahead and cut a little bit of that material out because we can get away with it without causing a lot of ramifications elsewhere.
Could you just not have the flaps go down quite so far? Like, would that be an option?
Well, I mean, I want it to go down as far as it will. Can. Because then you can slow the plane down more aggressively. Now, you could just do nothing, but does that sound like me?
I know you wouldn't, but if somebody else is like,
whatever.
I don't want to cut a hole in my plane.
You could just change the setting. But I'd rather cut a hole in my plane and have it go all the way. Because you're right. I mean, it's like not everybody's going to want to do this. And I can respect that, but I want to make room. And yes, this is probably not the least hacky way of doing this. Okay, so let's just see. Oh yeah, that's gonna get us a lot further. We're very close with my assessment there. So now, and where possible, I always try to keep a piece of material to keep that strength from that little member there. I mean, granted, you're not talking about really much strength to the overall airplane. But you know, it's not nothing. Shoot, there's a lot of planes where that would hold the entire control surface on. Granted, it's a lot smaller plane and a lot crappy airplane. Okay, sweet. Okay, so let's see if that works. Oh yeah. Okay. And then one more very minor adjustment is going to be right here. It's going to be right here on this end, right there. And then I can just slice and dice right straight through like this. See how I'm just trimming that little relief there. You could also adjust the control horn to not hit if you wanted to have the play. Yep, that's going to be good. So now we replicate that over here. So at this point, why don't we pause? I'll get that done and then we can come right back.
Okay.
All right, so I figured out I was struggling with one detail where it was bottoming out a little bit more on this side than that. So this is where I am right now. This is where it's bottomed out, okay? So I'm gonna actually run it just a little bit above of that. And what's happening is it gets to the end of the throw and then it pulls the whole control surface in. It's because you're running out of this action and then it's just pulling the whole thing. So that's why at the end it's not so hot. But I do want it to drop down. Okay, so I just released the control horn, okay? And I'm gonna release the control horn over here. Okay, so it can kind of do the same thing. So they're both all the way down. That's as far as they're ever gonna go right now. So at this point, that's where I want it to end, okay? Did it fall out?
No.
Okay, so now I can tighten it. Okay, so that's, ooh. That's not good. That, I think I might have stripped that one. Hopefully the other side still has a little bit of material. Okay, so that's tight. Okay, so now we're gonna run it out. We're gonna run it up. So you'll notice it went just past the top. So now we can bring that setting down. We can either leave that as a special setting or we can go into the servo setting to travel. And we'll go to flaps and it's already in the position that it is. So now I want those to be flush here. Okay, so that's pretty well flush there. So at 80, 80 is a nice number. I like 80. Okay, so this one's not quite flush there though. And so unfortunately, I'm gonna have to figure this out. I don't think I totally stripped it out, but it sure feel like it did. So what I'm gonna do on that one is I'll take CA and I'm gonna run it in there, and once I get it torqued down, then that's just gonna be what it is, and that's gonna fill in the absence of threads. Not ideal, but it'll work. So we'll come right back with some CA. Okay, so just a little bit of CA. This is, again, not exactly rocket science here. We're just making thread locker out of CA. Okay. So we want this to be in the right position though. And it is a little bit strange because this one is down and down, down. This one's even and even. So I don't know if maybe the hinge is just very slightly different. Okay. So that CA is just basically going to hold this so that the threads aren't stripped. Okay. Not an ideal circumstance to be dealing with, obviously. But you see what's going on there? See how it's not wanting to bite? Okay. So now I'm going to take that back out and I'll run it on the other side. But in order to do that, I need to clean it. So if you run into this situation, this is kind of a pain in the neck. Of course, the other correct way you could do this is just like replace the part with, yeah, not exactly my style. I actually do have these set screws, but I don't have this weird mechanism. So now it's biting, okay? So now because it's biting, I feel like we'll just double check things are tight where they need to be.
Okay.
Okay, so what I was talking about earlier is that this is down a little bit from the tip of the aileron, but it's also down all the way down the length of this. So it's actually square with the wing, and this one's actually just slightly up. So what I need to do is I need to lower this one down just a hair so that they agree.
Okay.
It's about agreement, and since this one's easier to adjust, I'm going to go ahead and adjust this one, okay? So you'll notice that that has a little bit of a drop down when you visually look at it there, and then it's just slightly lower than this aileron here, okay? And then on the other side, we're going to mimic that very closely. In fact, we probably need to go just a hair past where we are now. Even though it's where I kind of want it to be, I can adjust it electronically. Okay. Okay, so we're just past and we're just past. Yep, so now they all agree. That's the key, that's what we're looking for. So now take off flaps, landing flaps. Everything looks totally kosher there. This is where it needs to be. Now that we have everything in place, this, so long as this is allowed to pivot on the control arm, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on either side of that just to arrest the motion if it would break free, which I don't think it will. Just given the nature of this control surface, it would be nice to have that little presence, that little peace of mind, okay, now that we have it adjusted nicely. Okay, so I'm just going to take a little teeny bit of CA, and I'm just going to get it so it doesn't get on the white plastic at all, okay? Just right there, just build up. Okay, so the buildup isn't going to let it slip. So if this set screw fails, then we have a get out of jail free card. And then same thing here, because it's not like it's sliding in and out or anything. Now, if that was a moving part, of course, you wouldn't be able to get away with this. See? Just build up. Okay, just a little bit there. And then just a little bit there. Okay? And just to make sure it doesn't set, none of the CA gets on there, we'll move it back and forth a couple times. Yeah, we're good there. And again, that's just additional good measure there. It's not actually, it's not like we're depending on the glue. The glue is just there for good measure.
Right.
Okay. So now we can get rid of that. Without further ado, this thing should be flying in the next day or two if the weather permits. My concern is the weather won't permit because I really want to fly it. Okay, so what else do we need to do to make this thing gorgeous in the air? Probably not anything else. The elevator looks totally square with the edges. The rudder, you want to give them a view of the rudder. That looks totally square with the edges. I can't think of anything else that we need to do right now. We've already tested the CG and we're satisfied with the way that that's organized. I do want to mess with one other setting. Here, I'll show them moving. Ready? Elevator. All the way down. All the way up. Okay. Then ailerons. All the way out. All the way back. Take off flaps. Landing flaps. No buzz. No issues. Okay, so now this is what we're going to do. So now that we've set our maximum rate of 80 and 100, now we can just go back to our regular flap system, and it's just based on 100 and 100, okay? So for takeoff, I want to go closer to our neutral. So now watch the flaps. Take off. I'm going to go a lot less because I want this for just, you know, launching or maybe getting into a thermal. Okay, so we've got takeoff and then we've got landing, okay? I think, in fact, I'm going to go just a hair more for the takeoff setting. We'll go like 65, okay? So we got minus 100, minus 65, and then 100. So we're going all the way down as it pertains to this. Now, the other thing that's nice about when we go all the way to the down setting is that we have this mechanically locked, so there's nowhere else for it to go. And even if the servo fails, it's going to be stuck there. The problem is we're depending on that bite to hold that in that position. So if you have all this force being applied here, that would be a point of failure. So if you were wanting a real get out of jail free card, you would actually take this all out and you would bend a little bend in the end of that control arm because you'd have this little kick on the end and it would not be able to let go. Okay. All right, other than that, I feel real comfortable with the way everything looks. It looks like this wing, I didn't have it clipped all the way in. And then this wing, you see how these aren't all the way seated? You can grab out here at the tail, at the end of the wing, and you see that? And then at the end of the wing, oh, that one just doesn't want to go all the way. See that? Ooh. Ooh. That's a bad feeling. But you see how that one clipped in? I got to go a little teeny bit further on this. Can you push that up? Possibly?
Push this forward?
Yes, like, well, toward the tail of the plane.
Well,
There it goes. Okay, so now they're in. The way I did that was, obviously I had a second set of hands, but I was grabbing here and pushing really hard, but then also acting as a fulcrum here. I was just going like this. Once they're in there and they're locked, these wings won't come off that I know of.
So you want them to be towards the front and towards the back.
Oh, that's tight. So that's going to slow the plane down. That's nice. Cool. Okay, very, very nice.
Do you
Take off
hand
flaps?
launch this?
I think so. I mean, I don't think the prop's going to clear the ground. Let's
Oh,
find
well,
that out.
yeah.
That's actually a fair question. I mean, I was kind of thinking at first that's pretty dumb, but then I was like, wait, I don't know how big the prop is relative to the body of the plane. And that's what determines if you can wheels up, wheels down. Actually, it's really close. So if a guy wanted to take off wheels up, wheels down, which is really weird for a glider to be able to do that, you could put a smaller prop on, but I don't know if you'd have enough power. Or you could actually cut this one down.
Light.
Yeah, thank you. I was catching that too. All right, so now everything looks good. Obviously we have our flaps are up just a hair. So the only way that we would really be able to fix that would be to probably in the flap system, you could either back this down, see what's happening to the flaps. So that's all the way up, that's all the way down, or that's down to 90, so that's like 10% off. So what I'll do is I'll just walk back to servo setup. In this setting, instead of 80, okay, look at the control surface. See how it's down, see how it's up. I'm just gonna look at this line and this line. That looks pretty even. And then over here, this one looks pretty even, but then of course there's a little bit of a disparity between the aileron and that surface. I think we're good enough though. Okay, so that ended up being 79 instead of 80. All right, so everything is working. Let's look at telemetry real quick and make sure telemetry is where we want it to be. Okay, so telemetry is going to be click into the function list and go to telemetry. You can see what we've got here. Under Vario, these are the settings. You can inhibit that too. I want to set up the audio events for telemetry, and I'm going to go into, where is that? Center turn, flight modes, power sound, system sounds, trainer alerts. I don't think it's under telemetry warnings. Vario? I thought that's where I remember doing it. So you can set your warnings and things like this. So if you want to keep it legal, you can keep it under 400 feet, which is ridiculous, but it is what it is, I guess. Okay, so then you can turn that on. And that's going to pertain to the noise, okay? So I'm going to just put it on switch C. So this is on, and then this is off, and this is off, okay? So now let's see if we can scroll all the way over to Vario. You can see it's at minus 2.2. Okay, I'm gonna pick this up. You'll have to probably just look at the screen.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, see the screen? Press the clear button for me. It's like, go up.
This one? The X?
Yeah. Yes. See how it's set to 0?
Yep.
Okay, you see how it's moving up and down? Okay, I wanna see if I can move it up and down high enough that I can hear the Vario. I don't think you're going to hear it.
You got just over 3, which I don't think is quite enough.
3.2 is what we need. 3.2 feet per second.
I'll watch. That you hit 3.2, I think.
Okay, so we don't have the audio event turned on. And that's what I want to get settled right now because the audio event is annoying. But I want it because it's a Vario. I want you to be careful. I'm going to turn this throttle on for just a second. Okay, throttle cuts on. That might activate the Vario too.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll go to the other position of C and try that again. Okay, so either of the two positions on C will mean that the audio event is active, and then I can just switch it to whatever it is. Okay, do you hear anything? Nothing?
You are getting over 3.2.
Okay, well then we don't have the audio event on yet.
Okay.
So, again, not a deal breaker, but I would like to get this resolved now. But that's how the Vario works. Throttle cuts on and tested since I'm so close.
Okay.
I thought it was in here. Stepping reports. Maybe it's there. Nope. Generic reports. Nope.
What's under telemetry warnings?
Flight modes. Nope. Yeah, but
Well,
this...
wait a minute. Do you need to set the reports like faster? Is it just not happening fast enough?
No, maybe it's under system sounds. Nope. Okay, so I want to do telemetry warnings for voltage though, because we do have volts here, and that's the volts of your flight pack. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're running on 6S. What's 6 times? It's 20, wasn't it 24.8 or 25.8? 6 times 3.8.
I don't know. We have to
Well,
figure it
6
out.
times 0.2 would be 1.2. So
Yeah.
1.2 off of 6 times 4. So 6 times 4 would be?
6 times 4 is 24.
Exactly, minus 1.2. So 24, so that'd be 20.
3.8. Yeah, you were right.
3.8. Okay, so 23.8. So that would be our warning at 3.8 volts per cell.
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna make that active as voice. Okay, so then she's gonna read out, oh, that's max. That's max. I don't want that max. I'm gonna set this max to whatever the default is. So I'll change it to 1S, then I'm gonna go back, sorry guys, 6S. The min volts is what I wanna change.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want that to be 23.8, which is actually a lot of voltage.
Well, but for the first time around, maybe.
So then voice, and then we'll inhibit this. I don't want a warning if it's over voltage. That's
Hey, you have
stupid.
22.8. You want 23.8, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, actually, let's talk about that for a second. If we're at 3.6, this is a sailplane. It's not like we're gonna have to, EDF it back to the runway. No, I mean, seriously, it's not. 3.8 is storage voltage times 6 would be 22.8, okay? So if we did 22.8, then that would get us right to storage voltage. But do we need to land at 22.8? Probably not. We could easily fly this plane if the voltage was at 3.3 per cell times 6 would be 19.8. So we'll set it to 19.8, okay? So that's where the low voltage is gonna be.
But that's your warning, and then you have to be able to get back from
It's a sailplane.
Never Neverland and land.
Okay, all right.
It's your plane.
3.8 times 6 would be the 22.8.
Well, there's a big gap between 3.8 and 3.3.
That's true. And that's one thing that's nice about the more sophisticated avian receiver, because with the avian receiver, then you can set alarms for individual cell counts being below certain levels, I believe. Okay, so there you go. So there's your volts. Click into it. Then you have 22.8 for your low, and then for the high, it switched to 7. I hate it when it does that. See how it says 18? So 22.8. Voice, okay? So now I think I just have to go over here to Vario, and then there's like a way to turn it on and off. So we'll just see when we take off, I guess. We'll just have to figure out what it is and then test things as we go. Yep, we can definitely, we're just barely clearing everything. I can't wait to see this thing fly. It's gonna be impressive. This thing is big. It's gonna be so cool. All right, I think that's everything, right? It's all set up, it's ready to fly. We got all the telemetry. There's no forward programming to do because forward programming is what you do for, let's go into forward programming, receiver settings. It does let you go in. Fail-safe, initiate receiver bind mode, okay? So that's, oh, you can initiate receiver bind mode? That's kind of weird and cool. And then you can set your fail-safe. So the capture the fail-safe positions, like if you wanted your fail-safe to be with the flaps down, you know, and the throttle at 10%, because sometimes with the sailplane, you'll actually be, the throttle is actually gonna be not running the motor necessarily, but it'll be running, you know, the crow. So you don't want full crow, it's gonna crash the plane. I don't think I'm gonna mess with it. I think I'm gonna leave it. And then the other thing too, just in looking at that, you'll see that the correction for the elevator. So take off flaps, then landing flaps. That's probably not enough. We're probably gonna have to go a little bit more because we have such an extreme landing flap. So I'm not gonna mess with my fail-safe settings, but that's where you would do it if you were gonna do that. So under flap settings, I think we need to do more like 30, okay? Yeah. And that should keep us from ballooning. All right, everything on this plane is done. We have the timer set, we have the flap mode set, we have all the flaps and agreeability, all the control surfaces are even. We have the aileron set, everything is working. We have the expo set, and in our normal flight mode, this thing is ready to fly. So without further ado, guys, that was a lot of setup. We kind of thought that was gonna go quicker. This thing is sweet. I cannot wait to see it fly. If you're still watching, if you want to buy this thing, you would really flatter us and help us a lot if you would buy it from our links below, okay? This plane is huge and awesome, and I'm sure it's going to perform really well. But if you want to help support us, and you're asking yourself, how can I do that? Ask no further. Buy from the links in the description below, and you'll be helping us. Buy the plane, buy the receiver. You can buy whatever receiver. We'll link to the 6610T and the 636, the Air 636. And honestly, we've been linking to the Lemon RX stuff for years. So if you like that too, you can do that as well. It would be good, but you're not going to get the telemetry like you will with this. That being said, the NX6 has been great. It's done everything we wanted so far. Like today, we thought we found a glitch, but it wasn't a glitch. I just made a mistake. Maybe I've been making mistakes on the other ones too. I don't think so. I think that's a legit glitch. That was definitively different. Yeah, because we had to start a new model for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this thing is awesome, guys. I can't wait to fly it. You guys have already seen it. If you're gonna buy it, just buy it from our links. That's what we're asking. And if you don't buy it from the links, at least like the video. And if you don't at least like the video, subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications. But mostly come back for more and watch every single video we put up.